Welcome to Race Control and the Dhabi Ocean Race headquarters in Alicante, Spain. I'm Jenny Tulloch, this is Mark Cavell. We're here to bring you live the finish of leg 5. Right now we're hearing from the boats, they're about 40 minutes away. Abu Dhabi still leading, MAPFRE just about 5 miles behind, then Team Alvimedica and Team Brunel. But what we've heard recently was from SCA. They've had some damage to their rudder. What's happening?
We heard earlier on today that they've hit something. We don't know what it is, and they've damaged their port rudder. They stopped, they got their sails down to assess the damage and obviously check if there's any water ingress. And they have tried to change the rudder, but they can't actually get the old one out, so they're going to carry on with the damaged rudder. It's added, I think, a little bit of helm, probably slow the boat down a bit.
We'll get the full update. We actually have done a live X just now with Sam,
Great.
so we'll get the full update from Sam. But first, let's take a look back at this leg. It's been an incredible 6,200 miles. From Auckland, we had the tail end of Cyclone Pam, we had iceberg limits, we had very close Southern Ocean racing, of course iconic Cape Horn rounding, and then the top 4 boats within sight of each other the last 2,000 miles. Let's take a look. The start of leg 5 was delayed on a forecast that predicted the arrival of Cyclone Pam, which had wrought havoc in Vanuatu and was tracking across the North Island of New Zealand. As the fleet finally lined up to start the leg 3 days after scheduled, conditions on Auckland Harbour were back to typical summer sailing. The 6 boats left the shelter of the City of Sails heading east, and pretty soon had reached the East Cape and were blasting off into the open sea and the building waves in the tail of Cyclone Pam. It was a fast track east for the opening days as the tight bunch dived down to around 50 degrees south, where they were hit hard by an ocean storm that laid several boats over on their sides, crews drenched in freezing water. With the South Pacific Ocean strewn with icebergs, even in the Southern Ocean summer, Race Control imposed an ice exclusion zone to keep the boats safe. The zone became a wall that the fleet was bouncing off as they jibed downwind. One shift with a frontal passage gave Dongfang race team a chance to slide through and into the lead. Life at the extreme suddenly became Olympic-style boat-on-boat racing as the 4 boats tussled within sight of each other, more than 1,000 miles from land. MAPFRE and Team Alvimedica even crossed within 20 meters of each other at closing speeds of 50 knots. But as the drag race continued towards South America, disaster struck. In the middle of a dark night, a loud crack shook the crew of Dongfang. Their mast had snapped 80 feet above deck. Suddenly, they were in survival mode. On day 12, Cape Horn came up over the horizon for the leaders, and it was the young team led by 30-year-old American Charlie Enright who rounded this iconic landmark first. But just 18 miles separated the first 4 boats as they turned north into the supposed shelter of the South Atlantic for a drag race that would last nearly 2,000 miles. And soon they were experiencing the worst conditions of the race so far. Gusts of 50 to 60 knots with the sea state against them. It was hard going on the drag race to Brazil, but Abu Dhabi quickly took the lead. While the crew of Dongfang docked in Ushuaia in Argentina to assess their damage situation, Team SCA rounded Cape Horn. But instead of finding welcome in the Atlantic shelter, the all-women team were hit once again and were battered into survival mode for a final time. They were soon joined in their bash north by Dongfang, whose shore crew set off to deliver the boat to the finish in Itajaí. By last night, the breeze had settled and the leaders had closed to within 200 miles of the finish, separated by less than 12 miles. The big call was when to make the final tack west towards the finish line. With the 4 leaders close enough to track each other on their AIS radar systems, who would blink first? It was Team Alvimedica, and as they went, the others followed. The final sprint to Itajaí was on. It has been an incredible final sprint here. I mean, we've got 4 boats literally within eyesight of each other, and it's been almost 2,000 miles. But here we're taking a look at the leaderboard as it currently stands. Abu Dhabi only 2 miles ahead of MAPFRE. I think they've stretched that out maybe to about 4 miles at this point.
Well, we've been tracking this really closely because obviously we want to know when they're going to finish, and they've actually come in closer to the land, and they've hit this very, very confused area of wind where they've pretty well had everything in the last 3 or 4 hours. The track looks pretty all over the place.
And let's talk about this tack last night. What we've got right now on the screen is this all-important tack into Itajaí. That was sort of the goalpost. Who's going to tack when? Who's going to blink first? And basically, it was Alvimedica last night. But
it's a covering game,
yeah.
You know, and they literally headed into the point. And I'm sure Abu Dhabi would have been waiting, you know, literally monitoring the AIS constantly, because when Alvimedica did tack, it went straight into, it was almost like within the same minute.
Full dominoes.
Exactly,
yeah.
Bang, 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 cover, cover, cover.
Abu Dhabi, MAPFRE, Brunel maybe a tiny bit after.
Yeah, they stood on a little bit further to just sit up on the hip. But yeah, it was the classic seagull, in and then out, the line.
And here's where they are now. This is the track ever since, and we've got Abu Dhabi leading. It did get a little light. You can see light and wobbly.
Stuff bottom right of screen, and now they're into stable conditions, which is just what Abu Dhabi will want. The last thing they want is to go funky next to the shore, and we can see here now that they are in good, stable conditions, and they're pointing right at the finish, we hope.
We were seeing 17 knots, in fact, but yeah,
but
definitely...
even moving the stack back, feeling that the wind's getting up.
So it sounds like we actually have Abu Dhabi on the line as well. I'm seeing possibly Matt Knighton in the back with the headset on. Matt, can you hear us?
Hey, Jenny, I can hear you fine.
Wonderful. Well, it looks beautiful where you are. We heard you had showers earlier this morning and definitely just saw you get light on the tracker, but now plenty of breeze as you guys are racing into the finish line. What are the conditions actually?
Yeah, no, our hearts jumped into our throats. It was pretty light actually, for probably about an hour and a half. We actually had about 6 people sitting up on the bow with our entire sail stack trying to keep moving. At one point we were doing a half knot, but it's filled in from the south as we thought it would, and we've got a nice southerly breeze. We're under an A3 going downwind, 17 knots of breeze, doing about 17 knots of boat speed, pointed right at the finish. So couldn't be better conditions right now. We hope that it's going to hold up.
Can you see the guys behind you?
We can just make them out behind us. Ever since we pulled into the breeze ahead of them, we've been able to extend a bit. I think they're about 6 or 7 miles back now, so just a dot in the horizon at this point.
You sent us amazing boat feed today of Ian, essentially more stressed than perhaps we've seen him since leg 1, but it was a lot of running up and down the boat, a lot of rubbing his head. Has he calmed down a little bit now?
Yeah, well, I think he might have calmed down a bit, although you can see the look on his face right now. I know he's got his back to you, but he's all focused, and certainly everything is still up for grabs. So, you know, we're all holding our breath, but it's looking good right now. He's only come in and out of the hatch maybe 30 times this morning, so and he's lost all his hair, but we already knew that.
Do you think he can talk to us, actually? Can we put the headset on him?
Yeah, let's see if we can grab him. You want to talk to Alicante?
He did just stick his face into the camera.
Hi there. Hello? Is
Ian, great. It's Jenny and Mark Cavell from Race Control. Congratulations as you head into the finish line. I won't jinx you quite yet, but how stressful has this leg been? I mean, we did see the boat feed that came through today that looked like you were a squirrel running around on board.
Yeah, it's been, the last couple of days has been quite tense because we've had breathing down our necks. And we just didn't want to throw it away, you know, after so much hard work. It's been a pretty epic leg one way or another. And just that feeling of not wanting to mess it up. And anyway, so far so good. I think we've got about 5 miles to run. Possibly 2 jives into the finish. Maybe we'll lay. We're just trying to get down there. And hopefully the rest will be history.
So Ian, Mark Cavell here, hi.
Hello Mark, how are you, mate?
Yeah, very, very good. Listen, when you were setting up for that all-important tack into Itajaí, do you have someone monitoring the AIS all the time, like constantly, waiting, watching the competitors?
Well, we did. Most of the boat's AIS isn't working, so wouldn't really help much. Certainly, Alvimedica's hasn't been working, Dongfeng's hasn't been working. But you know, it was daylight, we could see them, so you don't need a computer if you've got a set of binoculars.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much. We're actually going to go and check in with your competitors. But best of luck as you head towards the finish line.
All right, thanks a lot. Cheers, guys.
Cheers, Ian. Thanks. Well, you know him well. What do you think of his mentality right now?
Well, I mean, it's been an intense leg all the way through. You know, certainly, you know, from the start of getting yourself mentally prepared to go and then holding back, waiting for the PAM to get out of the way, and then straight into the leg. You know, the whole team. It's been essential for Ian to not let his frustrations and his worries and his angst permeate out into the crew, and I think he's done a good job.
Yeah, he only gets more stressed the closer they get to the finish line.
He's getting better at that.
I think we have MAPFRE on the line now, second place boat, the one Ian is most stressed about at this current moment. Let's see if they can hear us. MAPFRE, are you there? No, we don't have them quite yet, but they have been sort of just the dagger in the line. MAPFRE doing 13 knots with Abu Dhabi doing 15, so it does look a little bit like Abu Dhabi's got it in the bag, but as we saw, we did just see the first transition. It did get light, and like they said, they got really nervous for a while.
I mean, the interesting thing about this shot that we're seeing now is that this is about as far away from their competitors than they've been for a long time. You know, they've been much closer to this in the last few days.
Yeah, and it looks like now we are on board. I see Francisco. Francisco, are you hearing us? We're not getting any audio back from that boat, but on board MAPFRE with the onboard reporter. Fran, I think you are maybe hearing us, but we're not hearing you, unfortunately. It does look like they're not quite in as much breeze as we just saw on board Abu Dhabi a second ago.
It does look like slightly different conditions for sure.
Well, we know this morning they came from more of a reach, even upwind, to this transition. As we've just said, they've been downwind VMG running a couple of jibes, in fact, and then now kind of the final one and into the finish line here. A very stressful moment, though, I think, especially with the fleet as close as we saw them. Right at the end of such a long...
All four boats could have changed positions in the last day.
Instantly.
After so much effort and so much work from the whole
Well, and between MAPFRE and Alvimedica, a couple times they were only 0.5 miles difference to the finish line. I think we didn't have MAPFRE, as we just said, Abu Dhabi leading the race, MAPFRE in second, but we might have Alvimedica on the line now. Let's see if we've got Amory Ross.
Yes, I can hear you, Mark.
Actually, I think that's Charlie Enright's voice. Charlie, are you with us?
Yes, Jenny, hi.
Hey, I'm seeing the armpit of, there you are, hello. It's been quite a stressful day for you guys, getting light, close, but now it sort of looks like it's filled on your way to the finish in Itajaí?
Yeah, it's not that easy. You know, there's still a lot of headlands here, a lot of light spots. Pretty crucial stuff still going on here. Brunel's leveraged himself offshore, and you know, we're on the long jibe looking okay, but looking for maybe a chance to check back in.
How about your leverage on the two guys in front, or is it just a battle with you and Brunel right now?
Well, I mean, just from listening to you guys when we were offline and you didn't know I was listening, I heard there's a light spot ahead, so we're still holding out hope.
Oh, perfect. That's all I have time for you for right now, Charlie. We're going to catch up with you after you've crossed the finish line. Best of luck keeping your leverage into that light spot. Cheers.
All right. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Thanks. That was good timing, well placed.
Well, Mother Nature will hand to them whatever Mother Nature will hand to them. I mean, you know, the conditions up ahead will, and they've already made their bed. They've decided to go into the coast. They decided that this morning and made that call.
Yeah,
so,
they were. And they were, as we said, the first team to tack. So they essentially wanted to be southernmost, headed towards the coast, knowing that light spot was happening, and essentially thinking the breeze was going to fill from behind and get
sail
them
around
first.
the whole fleet.
Yeah, it didn't quite work out as they planned, but what a good leg they've had all together.
Yeah, they've sailed very conservatively. They've kept it all together. They've not reported any major incidents. They led round Cape Horn, which was a real, you know, that was a huge. The efforts going into that, I can honestly say that the teams were stressed to the point, you know, coming deep from the Southern Ocean in a lot of conditions, with threats of very, very big waves around the Horn.
And keeping in mind, actually, that Abu Dhabi and Alvimedica were almost the two teams to have almost no damage, essentially. We saw a lot of other boats have massive, in one night, 4 of the 6 boats had massive wipeouts, accidental jibes, and these were the two teams that didn't. So It's a bit like they've lucked out, but a bit like there's
Well,
maybe just good seamanship to keep.
I think you have to say it's seamanship. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not saying that the others that don't have a very high level of seamanship, but just monitoring the comms off the boats, we heard a lot of rhetoric from boats like Abu Dhabi talking about changing down early, not pushing it, being more conservative. And it's not as if these boats have not had knockdowns. They've all reported being laid flat on, along the way. But it's a case of more of a spin out rather than an actual incident.
Yeah, there was a period of time once they'd gotten into the South Atlantic, actually, where everyone sort of said the Southern Ocean is the hard part, and they said that the first 2 nights in the South Atlantic were the worst conditions they've had of this entire edition of the race so far. And Charlie on Alvimedica was saying that they ended up not using as much keel as normal, so that instead of slamming into the waves being caused by the massive Brazilian current, instead of slamming into them, they wanted to put the boat a little bit more on its ear and sort of try to slice as much as you could slice into them. We didn't hear that from anyone else. But
That's great seamanship and very clever. Some great ideas there, and it's all about. We've heard this so many times in recent editions, both from the 70s and now from the 65s. It's about reducing power, not always hunting power. Once we get into a certain condition, it's very much about slowing down. The waves provide the ramps, and you just need to decide how fast you're going to fall off them.
Yeah, because the problem is there's a ramp and then there's a wave in front of you. So there's a ramp followed by a wall.
Exactly.
Not helpful. Beautiful helicopter images showing Abu Dhabi. We are trying to get in touch very quickly with 4th place Team Brunel as well. We'll let you know when we have them on LiveX. But 13 knots Abu Dhabi is doing, so they've slowed down a bit from their 17 that they had earlier. And in the back, Team Brunel doing 20 knots. So it is quite windier in the back than it seems like what they're having as they finally approach the finish line here.
From this picture, you can see that there's darker patches, there's lighter patches, so there's going to be differences in conditions, differences in pressure all the way through this course.
And they've had some squalls as well this morning, the boats and our friends ashore mentioning lots of rainstorms. It sounds very Brazilian, very tropical, but as you can see, cloudy, chances of squalls makes for very interesting patchy sailing.
Yeah, and this team will not let up at all. They realise that there's any number of holes that they can fall into, so they'll still be incredibly focused. They won't be letting all the spectators that have come out to see them distract them. They will be seeing that point ahead.
It is a good point, though. There are plenty of spectators down there. We had a wonderful opening ceremony in Itajaí, and then, of course, now, luckily, a daylight finish.
Yes. Absolutely, and just going back to the incidents and accidents, Abu Dhabi actually report of hardly even opening their toolbox, so they really have had a very good run from this leg 5. Yeah.
Yeah, we can have. You can have unlucky moments as well. What's happened with Team SEA, as we reported at the top of the show, was hitting something in the water, and that could happen to any of these teams at speed. They were doing about 22 knots, in about 25 knots. That easily could happen to anyone. There's objects that you can't see, so unfortunate. And of course, as we know, Dongfang race team losing their mast, not in a breezy day. So possibilities are there for things to go quite badly, but this is the finish line lighthouse, actually, so this will be the finish line of the race. They'll be seeing, you could see it earlier on the virtual, and you could see it here, this headland marking, that's it, you've gotten to Brazil. And I think they've all really been looking forward to it. We spoke with Andre Fonseca, the one Brazilian in this race, a couple of days ago, and he was just, all he could think about was food, real food, good food, and his wife, of course, ashore. But at this point in time, they've spent almost 18 days at sea now, so ready for a real bed and some good food. State sold out now in Abu Dhabi.
Which shows it's just going a little lighter. And, so yeah, they've still got one of Ian's favourite quotes, which he let out this morning, was plenty of golf left in this hole. You often hear him say that, and I think that was a day where that was very much true. But he's managed to get away from the pack here. Great to see the spectators out.
A good little spectator fleet, definitely.
One of the things, people are going to ask ourselves, why are the fleets so close together at this point? And I think the ice gate that was so essential to keep the fleet away from well-reported incidences of ice was one of the factors that it was almost like a wall that they wanted to be on the other side of, but they then had to traverse the wall and come around the wall, and that actually did. So none of the boats wanted to break north, even though at one stage there was an option to break north, but they all stayed together as a team, and that's why we saw that feverish tacking, jibing
down.
So many jibes and so many stacks.
Well, you bring up that northerly option. It was actually, at that point, the north option would have been chasing a low that they were saying could have been boat breaking conditions. So staying south in that respect was actually a safety move for the teams, which was quite interesting. You're thinking south and ice gates, and it's always breezier down there. But at that one period of time, the low that was moving north of them that none of them took would have been maybe 7 hours faster for them to get to Cape Horn, but the potential was there for it to break the boat as well, and so nobody took that option. As you said, the pack stayed together. I think there were 33 Southern Ocean jibes in a 24-hour period along the ice limit.
Which was incredibly grueling, because it's not just a case of jibing a sail like we do in an import. It's a case of moving tons of equipment, wet, sodden equipment. You're freezing, you're cold. And what it also meant was having to wake the crew and get them out of their bunks when they were expecting a good 4 hours sleep.
They ended up not sleeping, actually.
Their togs on, their kit on, getting up on deck and having to move all that kit across. And it was essential to stay with the pack and keep the intensity. And I remember the relief when they finally broke away from the ice gate and just managed to sail VMG down without, they felt that was their last manoeuvre for some days, and they could just point at the next waypoint, almost point at Cape Horn.
Quite a flotilla around Abu Dhabi now.
And you can see the boat's a little bit more upright here, so probably a little less pressure as they come into the finish.
We're actually seeing this from a camera on the lighthouse, which, as we said, is the finish line, so they're getting quite close to that finish line now, although it could be a bit zoomed in.
The interesting thing is that they work so hard to get to Cape Horn, and traditionally you turn Cape Horn and all of a sudden things get a lot better. For this fleet, it actually got better and then it got a lot worse. They had a day where they managed to dry some things out before it getting a lot worse. And so they've really only had a few days of more pleasant conditions. So these teams will still be incredibly weary from those efforts.
I mean, interestingly, as we said, they thought getting out of the Southern Ocean, and we thought this as well, would mean safety and shelter of the Atlantic. And then they had a 24 hours of the most heinous conditions that they have had in this entire race. And Ian Walker said, we've just got to keep everything in line right now. There's no pushing at this moment. And they had pushed hard enough in the Southern Ocean to actually win the speed challenge to get 550 nautical miles in one day, which is the record for this race. But by the time they turned the corner, it was a bit more upwind, and there was the Brazilian current against them. So it meant really bad sea state. And like we said, for Charlie, really bad slamming for all of the guys. It's a little bear away there.
And that was due to the current. The current against the breeze. Big header here. Bow down. Looking a bit more serious here. It's getting very fluky.
I wonder if that's a jibe to get away from land if there's more breeze outside.
I was just thinking that headland is probably not somewhere you want to get stuck up against. So a little jibe out and then come in hot to the line. Very wise. Memories of leg one and coming into Cape Town probably was going through their mind there of being trapped under the mountain.
Well, let's see. We've got a man down on the water. We've got Volvo Ocean Race CEO Knut Frosted. I believe he is with us. Knut, can you hear us?
Andrew, can you hear me? Over.
In that boat that we're seeing just behind Abu Dhabi, we'll get him to update the conditions, but of course it does look much lighter inside Abu Dhabi where that pack of jet skis is. So probably a good call to jibe here.
So I imagine they'll come along here for a few more minutes, and just to the right of picture, it does start to look a little bit more favourable. And it looks even that starboard end of the line could be actually favourable as well with this wind. So get away from that headland.
From the shore. You can see the right end of the line in picture now.
There we go. So yeah, they've got a couple more minutes on starboard jibe. Here we go. No, they're going to go for it now. Big flare. That the boat better get out of the way. Yep. Knut's just put the anchors on. Outside
reverse.
jibe. Nice jibe.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good little hitch. They just can't wait to get to that line. You can see how light it's got.
This will be an interesting one, especially for the teams behind who are a bit closer to each other. We knew there was the light air transition zone earlier. That happened 2 hours ago. And then, of course, this getting very light as they get close to shore. Like you said, it happens often. It happened for the Cape Town finish as well, which meant a loss for MAPFRE as they were passed by Team SCA, who stayed outside. But it looks like now they have plenty of breeze.
Well, it's the nature of ocean sailing. You can often have great conditions out, 30, 40, 50 miles offshore. But as soon as you get close to the land, you start getting the land effect. But unfortunately, the finish is always next to the land. And look at that top right of picture. You can actually see...
2 sail nets.
No, top right, you can just see the glimmer of the next boat on the horizon, so they can still see MAPFRE.
I think that's a laser.
No, that is a cruising boat.
That's
but
a small boat. Behind them, there's
trust
another.
me, when the camera pans right, we actually could see the larger sails.
Yeah, a
Do
boat
you
just
see that?
behind to their right.
Just glimmering into the distance there. So yeah, they can even see their competitors. Now look they've picked up some pressure now, charging at the line. And it's amazing, when you're on these boats, you still focused, you still don't have the win in your head until you cross the line.
Look at how much wave there is there as well for the amount of breeze they actually have. I mean, we know we've been talking about this Brazilian current, the massive waves that it made when they were offshore, but it's definitely flowing out of Itajaí as well right now. So it's fighting an incoming current, fighting an outgoing current on their way to the finish line, which makes them look like they're going even faster, but over the land, they're not going as fast as what it looks like right now.
River current coming out of the delta, and yeah, look at that. They've got some great pressure. Look at that sail bag up on the deck. Now that's a sign they're going to be bagging a sail. That's fantastic. That's exactly
Bring out
what
the
you
turtle.
want. Yeah. There goes Parco.
If all things go well for them, which assuming right now they should, they are so close to the finish line, this will be the first team to win 2 legs in this Volvo Ocean Race. So that is a huge accomplishment. And they've been the team the whole time to say, we don't need to win the legs. We just want to be conservative. We want to be top 3. We want to be podium finishing. But to be the first team to take home 2 wins is actually a huge achievement as well.
Yeah, this is going to be huge for them. And, really have, the mantra all the way from this team was just podium finishes is what they've done. And so the win will just be icing on the cake for them. But there is still, I'm sure they will still recognise there is plenty more points to win and lose.
And you could just see the buoy, the starboard end of the finish line in shot in that last heli shot. But absolutely amazing for this team. This will be a huge win, an iconic win. And I think, that looks like it's just a channel marker, actually. Ours are little white Volvo Ocean Race buoys.
I'm sure we'll know when they cross that line. I'm sure Knut is dying to talk to us from the water, but we'll keep trying him.
We know it's not necessarily easy with cell phone signals down there working back to us. There's now looks like a tiny buoy just to the left of screen here. And what a cool group of a lot of children in the rocks there, ready to welcome them in.
Well, Brazil is a great sailing nation, and they've produced some incredible sailors in their time.
Well, and of course it's Easter Sunday, so for us it's all about getting the Easter egg, but this is better for Ian Walker and Abu Dhabi Ocean Racing Team to take home the medal, the win for this leg.
And there we have the lighthouse.
The big Easter egg that we can have. So it sounds like we do actually have Volvo Ocean Race CEO Knut Frosted on the line. Knut, can you talk us through this finish as they cross the line?
Yes, I mean, they're just about crossing the finish line as we speak, and now they cross the finish line. So that was a very good call from him. And I'll tell you, it's an amazing sight out here. There's so many boats. And on the pier, it's, I don't know how many people there are, but there are thousands of people waiting. So, and I can see the guys on Abu Dhabi obviously stretching their arms in the air and celebrating, and that was a big win, big win for Ian Walker and his team.
Overjoyed on board that boat. I would say that term is overjoyed. Wow, amazing. Talk to us about what it's like there, Knut, in terms of the race village. How many people are actually out there to celebrate this win?
It's difficult to say, but I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it's 10,000 people out on the piers here, both on both sides of the river entrance. There's thousands of boats, and certainly we have a new record in jet skis. It feels like jet skis is a popular thing in Brazil. There's a lot of them. So, yeah.
And huge celebrations on board.
Absolutely.
What do you think this means for Ian Walker, Knut? We've just said that this is the first team to win 2 legs in this Volvo Ocean Race, but what do you think this actually means for Abu Dhabi going forward?
Well, there's 2 things. One thing is that to win the biggest ocean leg is always a big, important thing, and it's a very prestigious thing for the sailors, you know. And the other thing is that, you know, this is the leg he has managed to put some points on the fleet, and there's no doubt that he's managed to create a little gap now to the rest of the fleet, and that gap could be race winning. But also with the one design racing we're having now, is anything can happen the next leg. So you should never say never. And you know, coming in this leg last time, we had Rubama with a broken mouth, and people almost started to write them off, you know, and then it came back to one. So very, very, very good.
Very valid point. Well, thank you so much, Knut. It looks like we have on board Abu Dhabi. It looks like Matt Knighton's now got the headset on, so we'll try to talk to the sailors. We'll come back to you. Matt, are you there with us? And we've got Ian Walker. Ian, huge congratulations. The first team to win 2 legs of this Volvo Ocean Race. How does it feel?
Awesome. It's been such a monster of a leg, and you know, we were so stoked with the 24-hour record. After about 8 hours into it, I said to the guys, I said, look, I want to get the 24-hour record. We can do it just before the Horn. And even if it means losing a bit of distance in the race, I said, we're just going to go for that. And that was actually what got us back with the leaders. And since then, we sailed very, very well. It was a very tight finish.
Very tight finish indeed. Do you think that this Olympic-style one design, really close racing, is actually playing to your strengths and to your background?
Well, it's certainly not doing any harm, is it? Looking at the scoreboard, but you know, I've had 2 very tough races where we haven't had a fast enough boat, and that's very tough on everybody involved in the team, the sailors. You know, you're never sure if it's you, it's the boat. And the great thing about one design is if you sail well, you do well, and if you make mistakes, or you don't sail well, you don't. And there was periods in this leg where we didn't sail well, where we lost distance, but there was long periods where we sailed very, very well, particularly when it was very breezy down south. And I think the strength of the team, you know, we've got 7 out of 8 of our guys drive, so nobody has to drive for too long. We rotate everybody a lot, and you know, I can't speak highly enough about everybody in my team.
So Ian, after the big push into Cape Horn, you rounded the corner and you came up wind. And normally you'd expect the conditions to get better, but you went straight into worse conditions. How hard was it to rally and get through those conditions with those very aggressive waves?
It was a pretty nasty night, I can tell you, and we backed off a fair bit. Obviously, Dongfeng breaking their mast had quite an effect on us psychologically. It became more important for us to finish the leg than maybe necessarily finish first or second. So, you know, we just really didn't want to risk anything. But, you know, what do? It was big seas. We had 50 knots of wind on multiple occasions. You know, we dropped the keel. We tried to manage it. We lost probably about 10 miles to the fleet doing so. But with hindsight, it looked like a pretty shrewd decision.
Speaking of damage, you just said you dropped your keel, so you weren't fighting as hard, but how do you think you were capable of actually getting the boat through without really any damage at all when we've seen so much other damage amongst the fleet this leg?
Well, we obviously don't know what damage anybody's had. We know nothing about this leg on one of the boats, but I can only speak about our boat, and our job list is shorter than any leg thus far in the race. We never had to slow down for anything. The sails are in good shape, and I think, you know, a lot of credit has to go to Guy Barron, our shore manager, and his team, because it's the work they do that prepares the boat that kind of makes sure that that we don't break it and that we can keep going full speed. So, you know, big thank you to all the guys on our shore team, and maybe it's a little bit of nursing by the sailors as well, but one way or another we kept it in one piece.
Well, excellent. Congratulations on keeping in one piece and also on winning the leg. A huge achievement and well earned. Thanks, Ian.
Cheers.
So we'll try to get back out to the racing now. MAPFRE just a couple of miles behind, should be approaching the finish line now. And then, as we said, Team Alvimedica very close to them, and Team Brunel fighting with Alvimedica's back corner.
Yeah. So we saw them looming out of the mist earlier on. So there they are, bottom right of picture.
Doing 18 knots still, so they haven't gotten into the light spot at all, in fact.
I think that'll be very much land effect. You can see in Abu Dhabi's track where they started to just fall off, and I'm sure that they'll do the same thing as Abu Dhabi and stay away from that headland. But this team will be very, very pleased. Again, you know, they've had their thrills and spills through this leg, and having come off the win into Auckland to get a second after struggling in the previous legs, this really is fantastic.
They also got their skipper back. They had Iker Martinez was sitting out the last two legs to do his Olympic sailing. His longtime teammate, Xavi Fernandez, with whom he's won 2 Olympic medals and done more ocean miles than really any partnership ever could, had been skippering the boat the past 2 legs. But Iker back on board, so I think probably a good thing for him as well, just to feel like he can step back into it. They can change the dynamic in that respect and still do well. Second place is a huge achievement, so a good thing for them going forward.
And it's been an ongoing theme about how much crew rotation there has been, and I'm sure Iker coming into the leg 5 fresh and rested, obviously I'm sure has played another part. And again, you alluded to it before, but first and second, both Olympic medalists.
But you know, it's hard with this lineup as it is now. First and second, both Olympic medalists. But if you were to look at the scoreboard, Dongfang race team, none of the sailors on that boat really are Olympic sailors at all. They're all offshore, single-handed racers. So until this leg, it was very much a fight between Olympic medalists and this team that were sort of showing that being solo sailors can be helpful even in a crewed environment. And so we can't forget that. It's unfortunate what has happened to Dongfang. The losing their mast just before Cape Horn was a really tragic incident.
You're absolutely right. Right up until that point, they were showing incredible skills across that team. Amazingly versatile and certainly pushing the boat really, really hard. And it's just unfortunate, especially as that Charles had reported, you know, backing off for the first few, you know, the hours before
they broke their
it
mast.
happened. Yeah,
they did essentially what Ian just said. Ian said he lost 10 miles in the fleet. I think Charles lost about 20 miles in the fleet that night before breaking their mast. So they had clearly backed off a lot. Pascal seems to think that they've got a bad luck on board, and it might be him. He's apparently never made it around the Horn, the number of times he's tried. So he had taken the leg off before this leg to be fresh and ready for leg 5, and they were doing quite well. They had gotten into the lead in that driving duel on the ice limits, and as we said, we're backing off and losing a bit. But
I really hope he doesn't carry on with that thought process, because that'll be a monkey on his shoulder if he carries on with that one. And I'm sure that he'll be around Cape Horn in another race, I'm sure.
Never want superstitions like that one to stick.
No.
MAPFRE 13 knots now, so they have gotten a little bit into lighter breeze towards the line. And it actually sounds like we have on board, at the dock, we have Joe with, I believe, perhaps a weather person who can talk to us about what's going on there as they approach land. Down to you, Joe.
Hey Jenny, it's great to talk to you, and welcome to Brazil in Itajaí. And what an amazing day. It was raining this morning. We thought it was going to be terrible, but of course we're in Brazil and the sun has come out. And check out these crowds. Ladies and gentlemen, give us a huge cheer. Woo! It's amazing. The crowds in Itajaí have come out in their thousands to see the Volvo Ocean Race teams, and it really is a great atmosphere here. We've got the samba band ready, we've got the caipirinhas ready. I haven't tested any just yet, Jenny, but everything is absolutely great. I'm joined with Murilo as well. Murilo is my MC here, but he is also a navigator. He works with, of course, one of the most famous Brazilian sailors that there ever was, as his navigator. Murilo, they've been stuck in a little bit of patchy weather out on the Brazilian coast. Can you just tell us a little bit about that with your local knowledge?
Yeah, here in the Brazilian coast, we have the fronts that come from the south, so it kind of mess up the weather. That's why when they cross the Horn, they got bad weather, because you have coming up from Antarctica, you know, those cold fronts opposite to the northern hemisphere, that it comes from the north, here it comes from the south. So it's a bit tricky when you get closer to the coast. Sometimes the wind changes because the coast influences the weather, the wind. But hopefully they got good wind. We thought that maybe they could park outside Itajaí, but they are not parking. They are sailing well, and they will be here in a few moments.
And I'm sure that Ian is relieved at that, watching some of the footage from the boat. I think that Ian Walker at Abu Dhabi, of course, has been feeling a little bit stressed, and the thought of parking and anybody, you know, passing him would have, I think, driven him slightly crazy.
Yeah, because if they park for the one that is leading the fleet, sometimes it's bad, because you get to the no-wind area first, so you got parked, and all the guys that were behind, they catch you. But it didn't happen.
Okay, thank you very much, Murilo. We're going to hand back to the studio. Thank you very much, Jenny. We'll see you on the dock very soon.
Thank you, Joe. Wow, that looked like quite an atmosphere down there.
Absolutely, the crowds are incredible.
Jealous of being on the dock. It would be amazing. And especially, of course, the caipirinhas. Next up, the team in second place, MAPFRE. And they have had their fair share of issues this leg. They were one of the teams that had the knockdowns. In fact, we have video of that. Let's take a look. As long as it... Okay, so Mark, you actually know what this is like, this experience. You've been through this before. What happens in a knockdown like this, in an accidental jibe?
Well, it often comes from an additional pump of wind, you know, more pressure coming through, and the first thing your two options are to round up and it literally just almost handbrake turn, which leaves you on your side, and the wind comes over, and you've got to slowly get the boat under control again. Or what happens is you bear away and you go faster, and also as you bear away, you start going down the wave into the wave ahead. So most of these teams reported about going into conditions ahead where they go down the mine and the back comes up and then they fall over.
Let you guys know quickly that those were not live pictures. These are now live pictures. So that happened a couple days ago. In fact, a week ago in the Southern Ocean. But
yeah,
it looks like they were
just looking back onto that terrible moment where they did the Chinese jibe. But it looks like they have just put that jibe in themselves. We just came to pictures as they were coming out of the jibe, and now with good conditions. Let's just see where they are on the tracker.
12 knots, 13 knots.
Hopefully pointing right at that pin end. So yeah, the old Chinese jibe, looking back on it. So here we go. They are now making a nice step out across off the land to just make sure that they don't end up like Abu Dhabi, so close to that point.
And it sounds like we have MAPFRE on the line now. Francisco, are you hearing us this time? Oh no, it's Iker.
Hello, Jenny. How are you?
Francisco, good. And yourself?
Very good. Enjoying these beautiful waters and this beautiful country. It's a great landscape out here, so we're having a great time.
Tell us about the last day. How intense has it been on board with the racing so close for you guys?
Well, it was quite intense. You know, everybody was quite nervous. We have Abu Dhabi in front and the other guys on the back, Alvimedica and Brunel, pushing us a lot. So it was a really tough situation for us and as well for Jean-Luc, the navigator, and Iker taking the decision where MAPFRE was sailing or the mode that we were going to take. They were quite nervous and was a very intense 24 hours before we arrived to this point that is almost to the finish line.
And we were just talking about the transition of having Iker back on board for this leg after he'd been off for 2 legs. How did that go for you guys?
Well, Iker is amazing. It's a great athlete and it's a great leader. So since the beginning he was the skipper and if he's not here on board, we always push like if he's on board. So you know, it's not a big change. That's what I would like to say, that with Iker on board or without him, the boat sails as fast as it goes and push a lot, but you know, he has this extra push and his extra attitude that brings a lot to the team. So it was really good, and for a tough leg like the Southern Ocean was really, really good to have him on board, because he gave us that extra strength that make us be where we are right now, in a second place and really close to the finish.
We were just seeing a video as well of you guys when you had that accidental jibe in the Southern Ocean. And you can see you in the bottom of the frame. It sounded like we reported back that you were stuck there for a while and Xavi had to pull you out of the water. What happened?
Well, it was like a traumatic experience for me. I was on windward side, close to the stacking, and as soon as we got buried into the wave, the water just came up to my chest really quick. I was quite scared, so here's Willie. and I was clipped with my harness, so it was a tricky situation because I didn't know if the water was gonna cover me or no, if we were gonna tip out. So it was a really extreme situation that Xavi pulled me out and took me out my harness so I could escape from the situation. So I will remember that for a long, long time, for sure.
So Francesco, it's Mark Cavell calling. Thank you so much for bringing us the media that you obviously have. You managed to get that Chinese jibe on camera, and together with some incredible other footage that you've shot for us. From leg 5, how hard has it been to produce the media that we've been enjoying here?
Unbelievable hard. It's been really, really tough to get you guys all that amazing footage. You know, every time we were going out, it was a decision of how much I want to risk, because in a lot of occasions you need your both hands to hang on into the boat. Like, you really need your both hands, and it's really tough to have your camera. So you have to come up with options like GoPros, smaller things that make you able to hang on and record as well the situation. So for really tough days, were really, really hard to create good footage. You know, the interviews and, you know, just expose yourself into that rough weather, extreme weather, like 50 knots was really, really hard. But you know, you just need to man up and do it, you know, because everybody wants to see it. So you're there, you're living it, and the only way to show the people is just put in a camera, press record, and go for it. So that's the way to do it.
Well done. You did a phenomenal job. We will hopefully come back to you guys soon, and perhaps even if we could speak with Iker when he's available.
He's available right now.
Oh, okay, we'd love to talk to him.
Okay.
Hello.
Hi, Iker, Jenny Tulloch, and Mark Cavell calling from Race Control. Thanks for talking to us. First question for you. How far are you guys to the finish line?
2.5 miles now.
It's always more accurate when it comes from you than when it comes from us. So you took the last 2 legs off. You've been on for the Southern Ocean leg. How was it for you?
Was great. It was pretty hard actually, because we knew that we didn't have almost any training in the hard and strong wind conditions. So that was go there as a team for first time was pretty hard. So at some stage we I mean, we found the limits, no, and we have to slow down a little bit, and we have to repair a lot of things. So yeah, was everything more difficult than usual, or much more difficult than last time, for example, because it was just the first time for us as a team, no, and even if we were coming from winning a leg, it was the first time, and that's why it was hard. But it was good. We enjoy a lot.
Really quickly, Iker, could you just give us in Spanish a very quick how you guys are feeling at the end of this leg coming into the finish line?
Bueno, estamos todos muy contentos. Estamos a nada, a 2 millas de cruzar la línea de meta ahora en Itajaí, en Brasil, y bueno, para nosotros es una gran satisfacción, ¿no? Está pues ahora llevando el barco. Es el local y bueno, pues está esto lleno de barcos y es muy emocionante, ¿no? Es una etapa realmente difícil, hemos pasado todo el sur, hemos tenido nuestras penurias, nuestras dificultades, hemos tenido que reparar muchas cosas y era la primera vez como equipo que nos hemos enfrentado, ¿no?, a condiciones difíciles de viento y demás, con lo cual, bueno, pues muy contentos, el resultado casi no puede ser mejor, con lo cual, bueno, pues realmente bien, ¿no? Y ya es desencadenar dos buenos resultados en dos etapas seguidas es algo, bueno, pues realmente importante para el equipo. Estamos todos muy contentos.
Amazing, Iker. Thank you so much, and we'll talk to you again right after the finish line when you call us back. But for now, we're going to go speak with Knut. Best of luck the last 2 miles.
Thanks to you. See you. Bye bye.
See you soon. I think we have Knut alongside them in that red boat. Knut, can you hear us?
I can hear you. I'm sitting very, very close to MAPFRE. We are one boat length next to them.
And how far are they from the finish line now?
Well, I mean, I can see the finish line very clearly, so I would say 2 miles, maybe 1.5 miles. So I'm sitting next to me. I have with Eric Perron from Dongfeng Race Team, and I think this is hopefully the first and hopefully the only time Eric will watch the finish of a leg in the Dhabi Ocean Race. Eric, how does it feel for you to watch the boat crossing the line here?
It's a bit frustrating to see the boat coming inside Itajaí, but I'm happy for MAPFRE and also for Abu Dhabi that they did a very nice race.
Yeah, so that was Eric next to me here. So he's out to put some more pain into the state to feel how it is to watch these boats, but obviously with Dongfeng now, they are on their way going to Itajaí, and we are hoping to get them in a few days there. But it's great to say MAPFRE doing another good leg. They are certainly a very happy team, and Andrea Fonseca, or Bochecha as his nickname is, he comes from the state of Santa Catarina where we are finishing. So he's obviously the local hero. We can see a lot of his friends are out on boats cheering Bochecha. So he's going to have a good party tonight, that's for sure.
Do you think this is the beginning of a comeback for MAPFRE? I mean, they're currently sitting 5th overall in the race scores, but after a first in the last leg and a second in this one, it's definitely better than they were doing in the beginning.
Sorry, can you repeat the question there, Jenny?
I said, do you think this is the beginning of a big comeback for MAPFRE? Because they're currently sitting 5th overall in the scores, but they've just had a first in the last leg and a second here.
Yeah, I mean, I think they said it in the beginning. Last race they were winning everything in the beginning, and then they had a downer at the end. And now they were having a plan to do the opposite this time, and it seems like it's working. I mean, they have a very good team on board, and I think they were late. As a team, they started training late, so it's quite natural that they will spend more time to. But with the skills they have on board, with the navigator they have on board who navigated the winning boat last race, there's no doubt that this boat is going to be fighting in the top all the way to the finish. I'm pretty sure about that.
And it looks like it's actually, is it Andre Fonseca driving? We can't totally see from here, but can you confirm?
Sorry, can you say again?
We're wondering if it's the Brazilian. Is it Andre driving the boat right now?
Yeah, it's Andre driving the boat. So he's definitely driving, and they have even put the Brazilian flag on the back to be as local as they can. So I think the locals in Itajaí certainly know which boat to cheer for. They are all talking about that.
Oh, that's amazing, and what a huge finish in Brazil it's going to be for that team. Incredible for Andre as well. We spoke to him 2 days ago. He's so looking forward to the good food of his home country. How has the food been, Knut? Oh my gosh, and behind you we're seeing Alvimedica and Brunel looking very close.
Well, we're seeing Alvimedica and Brunel behind me, and I also have someone else with me out of the. I have Mark Tewill's parents. Mark Tewill, the watch captain of Alvimedica, and one of the few American guys who actually created Alvimedica, the Alvimedica team. And they have flown in from Hawaii, and he doesn't know that they are here, so they are coming for a surprise. And I have Mark Tewill's father next to me. How did you decide to come here? What made you come fly all the way from Hawaii?
Well, I think we saw it was going to be a podium finish, so we decided we can't miss it. So it's really, really fabulous, especially to have a daytime finish as well.
Oh, that's pretty cool. And obviously, Alvimedica, the first boat around Cape Horn, and that's a pretty prestigious thing for the sailors. It must be a big adventure for your son, no?
Very, very much so. We were so... rounding the Cape was the ultimate highlight of their play.
Were you worried? Sometimes during the Southern Ocean?
Well, a little early on, I sent him an email and they said, buckle up, make sure you buckle up. So anyway, I'm sure they did.
I'm sure they did. Over to you, Jenny.
Well, you'll have to say hi to Martel's parents for me. I know them from our training there in Hawaii. They are wonderful people, and it'll be an amazing surprise for him, I'm sure. We're just seeing that MAPFRE just jibed. Is that because there's better breeze offshore still, or is it just the final 2 jibes into the finish?
Yeah, no, this will be their last starboard, and then they're going to make one jibe. They have good pressure here, but they're going to make one more jibe and then head to the finish line. So I have to have pretty good distance behind them to the 2 next boats. They are making a safe maneuver here, and I think that the finish for the last podium position, that's going to be the toughest fight, because from what I can see here, it looks to me that Brunel and Alvimedica are very close. What do you think, Eric?
Yeah, it's like they are fighting for the third place. I can see probably Alvimedica just like 0.2 miles in front of Brunel, but there's still some drive to do, so probably some key point at the end.
So definitely the fight for third place is not over, that's for sure.
No, not over at all. From here on the virtual, it looks like only about a mile separation between the 2 of them. As you see, it does get light and shifty, and a couple of jibes are needed. So 1 jibe could be the difference there.
If they are wise, they'll be watching that the best approach is further, upwind there, over to the right, and staying away from that peninsula.
This is the view from that lighthouse finish line out to MAPFRE. So you can see they're going to have 1 more jibe and in. Very close now to the finish line, though.
Yeah, they'll be jibing fairly soon, and I was amazed in the shots before of exactly how much current there was coming back across the line. So if it goes light, then they're going to have to really push against that current. But at the moment for MAPFRE, they've got good conditions here. They'll just be lining up for this next jibe in. But it sounds like we're going to have an amazing tussle for the last podium position between Brunel and Alvimedica as MAPFRE roll into that jibe again.
And it is beautiful when they do those outside jibes. The sail goes out and around. You can't do it if it's too light because it won't blow out and around like that. So it's sort of a 12-knot crossover. Each team does it differently, but just enough breeze to let it blow out and around, and it's a quicker way.
And they have all of this to look forward to in the race village.
God, that's an
That looks a lot of
amazingly
excitement
full
there.
race village.
That is fantastic.
We understand as well, Abu Dhabi Ocean Racing, the leaders, the winners of this leg, just a couple of minutes from the dock. A funny mascot down on the dock there as well, but we'll be hearing from them again when they get to shore.
So that's good news for MAPFRE. They've made a good jibe there, and they are on possibly their last manoeuvre. And again, we see the sailbags coming out.
Final layers being taken off.
Yeah, they can see it in their grip.
It's kind of amazing this period of time, the moment that you switch from still absolute utter race mode to we think we have it in the bag, we just need to cross the finish line. Like there's this little bit of tension relief that occurs amongst the team. You can see they're taking the sail down now. If they thought there was any problem that would happen to their mainsail, they wouldn't take this secondary sail down. But at this point, it's almost momentum will get them across if nothing else.
Very happy. Not half of the tension of relief when they actually hit the dock and see their loved ones.
And this leg 5, we talk about it as the iconic sort of Volvo Ocean Race in your mind. This is the leg everyone wants to do.
Yeah, I mean, this is the war of attrition across the Pacific Ocean, the largest ocean in the world, and by far the longest leg. And it really is, for Abu Dhabi to have won this one, it's a great attribute to their build up into this leg. But don't forget how intense the racing in the next few legs will become. They're shorter, they're more intense, but yet same points on the line.
Yeah, but at this period in time, when Abu Dhabi Ocean Racing's approaching the dock like that, you know, they're in the marina, they're in the port, sails down, motor on.
The last thing they're thinking about.
Yeah. They're ready for that caipirinha, like Joe was saying.
And it's just great that MAPFRE's got some good conditions there.
Yeah, heating up a bit there.
But looking behind in the top rider shot, it still looks quite light out there. You know, they've got this nice conditions now. Leaning over, good pressure.
You can see a really nice, actually, it's looking like, Knut, if we still have you, it looks like a good solid puff right in front of MAPFRE as they head towards the line.
Now they have a lot of breeze here now. They drive quite late, so they basically they have to hike up a little and take quite tight angles to the finish line. So they're sitting at 14 knots or something here now, very nice. And just have 500 meters left to the finish line. They're all looking very happy.
And a little tiny sailboat crossing their line. That guy's probably motoring out of the way to get out of the way.
The great thing with being fast is that they can go faster than all the spectators, so it's a little bit safer on the finish line.
Which boat are you in there, Knut? Are you in a bright red boat?
Yeah, on this pilot boat. It's like a Brazilian pilot boat, and we are sitting on this tower, me and Eric here, together with Mark's father on the front. And I'm hoping they're not diving into a wave, because I think we'll want to go swimming.
A bit like MAPFRE. Did they not see this puff coming? Is it hard to see the breeze on the water as they're approaching the finish line? I guess that might not be.
No, you can actually see the breeze quite well. I mean, it's some big rain clouds that's sort of pushing the breeze in front of them. So, and it's actually more breeze closer to shore here now. There's some more rain activity here. So they're just bearing away now, MAPFRE. I mean, they have literally, 5-6 boat lengths left to the finish line. So they're just sailing a bit low and safe. They have plenty of space around them. A lot of spectator boats out still. Not everybody went in. I can see the fireworks in Itajaí celebrating Abu Dhabi's win. So,
you can see them already celebrating on board. They must be close now.
They're very, very close. They're just going to bear away a little more. They're hugging and they look very happy. And I would say that, I would say they have crossed the finish line pretty much now. Yeah, we have them.
MAPFRE across the finish line. The one team that has a Brazilian on board, of course, he's driving in the back of the boat. Hugs all around and huge congratulations. Second place after their first place. Quite an achievement, this leg.
And you can't single out any one of the crew. They've all done the most amazing job, from the navigator, from the skipper, to all the trimmers. You know, they are so undermanned for a leg like this. You know, they've sometimes only had 3 people on deck in some crazy conditions where other boats would have a lot many more than that. So, you know, the efforts that every single one of these crew have made is incredible.
Oh, they look so happy. Andre especially looking so happy. Second place. So the next thing, they'll be taking their sails down, motoring into the dock, just like we saw Abu Dhabi. I believe Abu Dhabi Ocean Racing getting towards the dock now. And you can see them here being greeted by their shore teams and the crowds. Leg winners,
yellow.
leg 5.
The feeling of throwing that warp onto shore.
Never done until you're actually off the boat, right?
The winners of leg 5 of the Volvo Ocean Race. I think Ian might be a little bit excited. And rightly so.
Ian Walker.
Ian looks very excited. A little bit is an understatement. Oh, and he's off. He never jumps off the boat.
If I had my children waiting for a hug like that, I'd get off the boat straight away.
That is one happy daddy.
And the children weren't in New Zealand, so this is the first time they've seen them since for quite some time. There's Lisa, Ian's wife. Emmy, the oldest of his 2 children. She probably says,
She thinks
Dad,
it smells.
you smell.
Oh, funny. It's funny the cleanup before the dock. Some of them save the 1 spare shirt. They only take 3 and they save 1 just to put it on right before they get to the dock.
It's the least you can do for the spectators that arrive. And all the spectators going back out to greet the next boats.
A cool view looking in from the race village.
And it's this moment, it's these moments that you use to get through those tough nights, you know, those tough conditions. You visualize seeing your friends and family and you get to the dock. And that's the thing that pushes you through and it energizes you through to get to the dock in one piece and safe and sound. It really is the motivation that these teams use. That and standing on the rostrum with the champagne in your hand, the winner's medal, of course.
So we have times in from race control. Ian Walker, Abu Dhabi Ocean Racing, finishing leg 5 in 18 days, 23 hours, 30 minutes and 10 seconds. And MAPFRE just 32 minutes later means they were at the bottom end of 19 days. 19 days, 0 hours, 2 minutes, 56 seconds.
And of course, Abu Dhabi Ocean Racing winning the 24-hour record, speed record of
550 nautical miles.
That's right.
Sci-Fi here with his
Simon
son.
Fisher.
We'll just listen in for a bit.
There's Jack Lloyd, race director.
To be here in Brazil. So 7 points ahead. Have you got it in the bag?
Boa tarde, Itajaí! Obrigado, Itajaí. No. Look, that was a great leg. I have a fantastic team. The boat was perfect, and we're very, very happy to be in Itajaí.
That's good. Agora ele não falou 5 minutos, ela fez uma pergunta longa falando sobre as dificuldades da perna e tudo. Eu vou primeiro traduzir. Antes ele falou boa tarde Itajaí, obrigado Itajaí. I'm translating what you said.
My Portuguese.
No, it's good Portuguese. E ele só falou brincando, ele perguntou se foi muito difícil, ele falou não, mas na verdade ele disse que foi uma grande perna, agradeceu muito ao time, disse que está muito feliz de estar aqui em Itajaí e obviamente o mais feliz de todos porque é o vencedor.
So tell me, last time you were at Cape Horn, last time you rounded it was in the dark, 100 miles offshore, you didn't see anything. I'm really curious, did it live up to expectations the second time when you actually crossed it and you saw it?
Cape Horn was spectacular. It was daylight, it was big waves, we could see Cape Horn, Parco was steering, everybody else was smoking cigars, waving the UAE flag. It was a wonderful day.
Ela perguntou sobre o Cabo Horn, a última vez que Ian Walker cruzou o Cabo Horn, ele passou a 100 milhas do cabo de noite, não viu nada, e dessa vez passou de dia. Ele falou que foi fantástico porque tinha bons ventos, ondas grandes, todos puderam fumar um charuto, comemorar, beber uma cerveja e ver o Cabo Horn de pertinho.
One last question. Congratulations, you've won the IWC Schaffhausen Speed Record Challenge for the second time this race. What possessed you to go for it? Because it was a conscious decision, wasn't it?
Yes, I was annoyed in leg 1 because we missed it by half a mile, and after about 8 hours of fast sailing, we looked at the forecast and I said to the guys, this is possible, we can just do it before Cape Horn. And we said, look, we put the race on hold for 24 hours and we go for the record. And it was a great feeling, especially as IWC are one of our sponsors.
Well, congratulations, ladies and gentlemen, please.
Amazing to hear from Ian and how happy and excited he is. But what we hear is it is still an incredible race out there for the final podium position. I think only half a mile between Team Brunel and Alvimedica.
That's what it was looking like. as they were looming out of the thing. And you've got
Brunel doing 14 knots to Alvi's 12, which is not something you ever want to see if you're the lead boat.
now both on the same jibe coming across. Alvimedica really just covering now. All they've got to do now is stay in between the competitor and the finish line. And it looks like from that camera angle, if we're looking anything like from shore, that's exactly what they're doing. Long starboard jibe out. And again, if they've got any sense, they'll stay away from that headland. And they'll just be trying to match each other's angles, match each other's speeds.
Quite a good match race, in fact.
Yeah.
Covering position for Alvi. Although, interestingly, Knut said that actually there was breeze coming from the shore now with the last line of clouds, the squall line. So maybe there is a question mark as to which way to go here. If you're Alvi, you just stick between between your opponent and the goal, as they say.
From the look of that sky, it's the sort of sky that could change. You could see that we've already seen from the images we've seen from the first two boats through that there are light patches and there are some big gusts.
Brunel rolling into a jibe here. Still outside jibing. We would expect Alvi to go to leeward of them, in front of their line, and then jibe in that, we call it power position in match racing, in the power position.
Little issue here, getting the new sail on. All the pedestals loaded. Arms pumping. In it comes, the new side.
6 grinders at a time. There they go, 6-1 just dropped on now.
And I can tell you, they won't be feeling it. The additional pump of adrenaline you get coming into the finish, all the weary nights, doesn't matter. It's just like a day race. It feels like you've, even though how tired you are, you find that extra adrenaline if it's close into the finish.
Even though they've pretty much been up for probably 24 hours, if not more, at this point in time.
Especially as it's been close, they would have just put everything in it. Bauer would be just saying you can sleep after with the finish. And he'd just be pushing the team really hard. And of course, a great skipper, Bauer has amazing respect on board. This is his 7th
Volvo
Ocean race.
Can you imagine doing that race 7 times? I think he's been around the horn even more times than that. Andrew Cape has been around the horn 9 times.
9 times, yeah. No wonder they call him Capey.
Yeah, fair enough.
So yeah, this is Alvimedica just having to come across now and get out to the line and just cover them. And yeah, we can see Alvimedica has made that jibe already while we were talking. And so they're just forward of their line and really just heading them off at the pass here. There's not many options. The only option that Brunel has is if Alvimedica do fall into a hole and they can either jibe away or heat up and sail round it. But at the moment, it's looking pretty consistent. Nice bow wave coming off both boats as the spectators come down to the fleet to bring these two boats in.
I don't think they're laying from here, though. I think they both are going to have 2 more jibes to the finish, just like we saw with the other
I think so
teams.
too, and it'll be interesting to see who leads it. Brunel probably will wait for Alvimedica to go.
Except in these conditions, if they're just half a mile back, do you think they're affecting Alvimedica? Is the wind shadow big enough?
No. The distance is clear. They've both got clear air. But for Brunel, I mean, their hope is that Alvimedica don't jibe away from that headland, and they fall into the conditions, and Brunel can then sail around them to the right. But I am sure that Will Oxley, the wily old fox he is, he will not fall into that trap, and you will see them jibing away in the next few minutes again, probably in about half a mile from this course here, following similar track to what we can see here.
Although if you're actually thinking match racing wise here, if you're Team Brunel, then you would want to initiate a bit of a jibing duel here. You might expect them to go first, try to get Alvi to match them jibe for jibe, and then just hope they mess up, essentially. Yeah, if you get a little bit closer, that's great. If they have a big mess up, then that's it. If you have a big mess up, you're already behind, so you've lost nothing.
Yeah, so engage it, bring it to the team, and engage them in some battle rather than just following them in.
Yeah, force something. That's what we always said. Force something.
So at the moment, they must be looking at the finish, thinking that we're one or in, we're all the way in. We can see the finish ahead, and they're probably expecting no more manoeuvres. But it'll be interesting to see if it does go light. They will be jibing again, like we've seen the other boats do. And again, so much current pushing out. So
An
they've got a
incredible
lot more
amount of
sailing
current.
to do through the water than they have over the land.
It makes that downwind a lot longer than actually what it looks like on camera there, just because they're rolling on a moving carpet. The carpet keeps coming under and they keep walking along it.
Now, you probably wonder what's going on behind me in race control. The race control here are logging the boats finishing, going through all their due diligence, filling all the forms in, and just preparing the customs. And look at that shot there with Brunel. I know we get a bit of camera angle here, but you can see, back of shot, how light it is. Foreground, Brunel's in some pressure coming down to them.
Still very puffy
very
out
close.
there. Let's hear just how close it is from the man on the water, Knut Frosted. How intense is this race? It's hard to tell when we've got cameras. I'm not seeing it live.
I tell you, it's incredibly close. We are just delivered of Alvimedica, and I can tell you Brunel has better speed. I was just speaking to Eric Perron, and we were discussing, and Brunel has been coming up behind here and definitely have a better pace right now. So this is not over. This is absolutely not over. I mean, I would say Brunel is getting closer and closer, Eric. What do you think?
Yeah, it's getting closer, but it looks like the wind is lighter at the finish, so they might have to dive again. So, well, let's see what's happening.
I think it's very clear that Alvimedica has the better position. They are to leeward, they are forward, and it's only if the breeze starts heading and have more pressure from behind that Brunel has a chance. But I feel for Bowie, I have a feeling this is not the first time that Brunel has just been a little bit too far behind for the podium or for a placing. I still remember their finish in Tanya, where they were beaten by hardly any margin. But we're just next to Alvimedica here, and I can see Dad, Mark DeVille. How is your son doing? Has he seen you yet?
I don't know. He was grinding a few minutes ago. There he is over there.
I'm pretty sure. I think he has other things to worry about right now. He's not thinking about you right now. No, I don't think so. They look pretty tense on board there. All the eyes are watching Brunel. So yeah, this is a classical finish. I mean, if the wind drops now on the finish line, this could be down to the last boat length.
God, it looks really intense. It actually could be down to last boat lengths. As you said, here we're seeing Brunel always slightly doing a bit better boat speed than Alvimedica, just bringing the pressure down from behind. Gaining all the time.
It's very, there we go. It looks like they're preparing for a jibe there, the telltale sign, stay sail coming in.
It's like the mantra for Bauer, never giving up. He always seems to be the positive, pushing. They've been behind worse than they were expecting to do the past couple legs, and he's just had this really, we've still got to go at him, hungry wolves mentality, and it is impressive. I think you have to, as we know, it's a marathon, not a sprint, this race. And you can see it here. Such a close finish.
So they'll be just looking.
Are you almost in their way, Knut?
Yeah, we're a little bit too close for my comfort. I think this guys driving this pilot boat, I'm a little scared that they don't know exactly how our boats maneuver. So we can almost speak to the guys in Alvimedica, but we're trying to get a little bit further away here. So to leave them some room, because they are going to have to make at least 2 more jibes to get down to that finish line. And there's no doubt that Brunel is having to push Alvimedica in. Brunel is just jibing. They just went in for a jibe, and I think we will see Alvimedica responding to that very, very quickly.
You don't want to be the pick that's in their way. Brunel has just jibed behind, it looks like.
Telling the pilot guys to drive this pilot boat as well, because we will be in the way. Well, we have to move, huh?
Okay, we're seeing Brunel has jibed.
Looks like a good jibe as well.
Assuming Alvi will cross their line and then set up again in that same spot to lure it. Go ahead, Knut.
Well, in fact, Alvimedica decided not to jibe. That's an interesting move, because they are pointing. They are still almost pointing at the finish line. And I can't see his drive. Looks like it's Stu Bannatyne driving. He's a very tall guy, and I must be Stu. But it's interesting, they did not respond to the jibe on Brunel. I mean, normally the book, the ABC in the racing tells you to always match the maneuvers close to the finish line. But Alvimedica chose to not do that, so they are continuing. But now they're setting up for the jibe, and now they could see there was very little wind close to the land. So now they are setting up for the drive and slowly bearing away, easing off the Jennaker. And Brunel drive back, so that's going to be an interesting cross again. I think it's a game to Alvimedica, but the risk is that the wind drops, close to land, and then you are in big trouble.
Oh, that is interesting that Brunel's jibe back here, because Alvimedica was definitely setting up to jibe in sort of what we would call a power position in front of to leeward. Go ahead.
Yeah, Alvimedica canceled their jibe. They were just ready to go. They were just bearing away, and then they got a little puff with breeze, and they can see the finish line in front of them. They're pointing at it. The problem is that if the wind drops, they're going to have to make 2 drives in less wind, and Brunel will have a better angle. But at the moment, they're gambling on actually making the finish line, I think, on this drive, and it could be okay. I mean, we have some very tall mountains here on the land. What do you think, Eric? Do you think this is going to work for them?
Yeah, I can see some breeze coming for Alvimedica, so he can walk like that. And Brunel did 2 bad drive. I mean, in the bad seat, and so I'm pretty convinced for Alvimedica for this time.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely tense. You can see the guys are turning around every 2 seconds. I always like when I see the sailors, they have been out racing in really tough conditions, and they're still wearing all the oil skins and the dry smocks and everything. And here it's 25 to 30 degrees. It's really hot, and they don't even think about taking off any clothes. Yeah, I'm sure they're sweating like pigs inside, but no one even thinks about it,
Smell it for me.
Eric can smell them. How can you smell anything, Eric? You've been on the boat for months.
We're actually seeing video now of Abu Dhabi Ocean Racing just celebrating their leg win, their finish.
Senhoras e senhores, Abu Dhabi Ocean Racing, os grandes vencedores da quinta perna aqui em Itajaí. Eu gostaria de chamar ao palco, aliás, já está aqui nosso
Team being
prefeito,
introduced to the crowd there
que vai fazer a entrega de prêmios.
in Portuguese.
So if the mayor would like to present the first place prize to Ian Walker, of course, the skipper of Abu Dhabi Ocean Racing.
Senhoras e senhores, prefeito Jandir Bellini vai dar para Ian Walker, o comandante do Abu Dhabi Ocean Racing, o troféu de primeiro colocado em Itajaí. A primeira galera a beber a caipirinha. Ali a bandeira dos Emirados Árabes Unidos. Ian Walker, Abu Dhabi Ocean Racing. Um grande aplauso para eles.
So Ian, tell me, 19 days.
Back to the very intense finish here with Abu Dhabi, Alvimedica, still with a bit of pressure. You can see how much lighter they are now compared to what they were before when we cut back to them now.
And as Knut was explaining, if it does get lighter, then their angles go up a bit. It looks like they should just shave it, just be able to make this finish. Doesn't really look like they would have enough room for 2 drives with Brunel just right on their stern there.
This is like racing in the Solent compared to the amount of current against them. They're hardly moving against it on that camera angle. They just need to get down around that lighthouse.
Incredible.
I'm sure they're looking good for it.
And when you see that boat view, it looks like they're doing so much faster than when you're actually seeing speed over land.
But Brunel's on their line. They've got them, they are covered nicely. They've got them on their track. So if suddenly something did go through, the 2 boats would probably roll straight into a jibe. But with that amount of pressure, they've got plenty of breeze to get them across, and a little light spot there for Brunel.
Looks like possibly plenty of distance.
Knut was saying there was more pressure coming down, which we're seeing now. So this is looking fantastic now for the American-Turkish team.
Let's go back on the water. And in fact, the boys on board looking a little bit less nervous, a little bit more excited.
Yes.
Let's go back on the water to Knut and see and hear just how close they are to the finish line.
Yeah, I mean, they're literally now, I would say, 4 or 5 boat lengths from the line, and there's no doubt Alvimedica is going to make it. They are definitely making it, and they are clear now ahead of Brunel. This is going to be a fantastic podium position again for Alvimedica, and the youngest team in the race managed to get on the podium in the Southern Ocean. That is respect, a lot of respect, and let's not forget that Charlie Enright and his team, they were the first boat around Cape Horn, and that's not the first. I think that must be the first time the youngest crews in this race have managed to beat the establishment around Cape Horn. And there they are crossing the finish line as we speak now.
There we go, waves on board. Not quite as, and there's the celebration. Oh, what an intense finish. We're actually hearing on board. They still have a bit on to get away from land.
Yeah, because the conditions are going to actually snake them up to the lighthouse, so they've actually got to probably just get rid of that head sill and jibe away from the land there. So they've still got a little bit on. I think Stu Ballantyne just reminding them that this isn't over yet, even though they've crossed the line.
No time to celebrate yet. On board, we can celebrate on their behalf, as Knut was saying, the youngest team in this race. And you have to remember, Charlie Enright and Mark Towell, the two guys who put this team together, had not even raced or been in the Southern Ocean yet. So for them to be third in this leg, first around Cape Horn, it is quite a huge achievement.
And visualizing their achievements ahead of time, you know, when they were putting the team together, it wasn't necessarily winning legs or winning the Volvo Ocean Race. It was actually crossing Cape Horn, going around Cape Horn, which is what they wanted to do together. And they had to do that in first. And here comes Brunel.
I wonder if we still have Knut there. If you can talk to us about Brunel across the finish line. Of course, it's got to be quite a disappointment to be as close as they were there and just miss the podium.
Do you know, they're probably finishing closer across this line than the fleet did when they started in that light air. So when they crossed the line in the start for leg 5 in Auckland, they were all quite separated, and they're probably closer finishing here. It was amazing.
So unfortunate for Brunel. It's a tough leg, especially when we talk about the inexperience of Alvimedica. This is almost the complete opposite, the experience of Bauer Becking's 7 Volvo Ocean races. This is his 7th, and Andrew Cape, who's been around Cape Horn 9 times. But it sounds like we do have skipper of Team Alvimedica, Charlie Enright, and as we were pumping up their accomplishment, let's talk to him. Charlie, are you there?
Hey, Jenny, what's up?
Oh, nothing, you know, just hanging out in here. Congratulations on your podium finish. Itajaí, pretty incredible. How does it feel for you?
You know, it feels good. It's obviously a lot of mixed emotions, you know, ups and downs throughout the course of the leg, but you know, hung on to get a pretty good result there, and obviously can't say enough just about the team, all the guys we had, and yeah, perfect example. I'm sitting here talking to you, and they're still taking the sails down. So, good group of guys. It's a really good team result, and yeah, you know, one that we're looking to build on moving forward.
Do you think you've proven now with 2 podium finishes, and most especially perhaps the leading the leg around Cape Horn, have you proven you're not the inexperienced young team anymore? You're now battling it out as equals?
Oh, I don't know about that. I don't think you can make up for, you know, heaps of experience in just a couple legs. But, you know, we continue to show that we have our strengths. And, you know, there are certain boats out there, Abu Dhabi for one, who seem to be pretty fast all the time. And there's other boats that are up and down, and we're one of those. And we got to become a little more consistent. But we continue to make strides in the right direction.
Let's talk about that iconic moment of you leading the leg around Cape Horn. You've had a couple of days now to think about it. How has that changed your opinion? How have you been able to digest what that meant to you and to the team?
Well, unless Volvo decides to retroactively award points for boats surrounding Cape Horn, it doesn't really change how I feel quite yet. But I'm sure, you know, as time goes on and we relax and kind of sort out what we've just gone through, you know, it'll mean a lot. It's like you said, it's an iconic part of the world and one that we've been looking forward to. And you know, I guess no one could take that away from us, but we'd rather have the points.
Fair enough. Okay, it was your first time in the Southern Ocean. Do you feel like a hardened sailor now? In what way has that changed you?
Oh, well, you know, it's kind of like a notch on your belt, so it's a been there, done that thing. But you know, it's the only leg that's really felt like the Volvo. You know, we've sailed some long ones, we've sailed some hard ones. They're grueling, they're competitive, but you know, nothing was the physical trial that the Southern Ocean leg was. So happy to have done it, happy to have it behind us. Definitely something I'd welcome again. Certainly some of the best sailing we've ever done. Again, it's just going to take a little bit more reflection right now. I think we're all focused on what we went through. We finally got that leverage we were discussing and got down to their line and had a little match race into the finish, and that's kind of what we're thinking about right now. So,
Hey Charlie, it's Mark Cavell here with Jenny. You've taken the experience of Stu Ballantyne on this leg 5. How important, looking back, was that to have that kind of experience on this grueling leg?
It was amazing. You know, Stuart's a grizzled veteran. You know, his resume is unmatched as far as I'm concerned, and he has very good perspective as to what we're trying to do. And you know, he fit in perfectly. He personally took, you know, a lot off of my plate, and you know, for that I'm very thankful. And yeah, he was great, and he's gonna. Yeah, part of him I think forgets about, you know, what a Volvo leg's really like. So I think he's happy to be here early. Have a couple days to recuperate before he heads off to St. Bart's for a total change of pace.
So talking about the next leg, obviously I'm sure you haven't even given it some thought, but it'll be racing into your home port of Newport. What are you thinking with the crew and your strategy for this next leg?
Crew, I think, is pretty self-explanatory. I think we'll, you know, go back to where we started. You know, Steb, although not on the boat, has been an integral part of what, you know, this team's turned into, and can't wait to get sailing with him again. You know, Newport's obviously on my mind. It's where I'm from. I know the hometown crowd's really ready for our arrival. So yeah, but really, it's just any other leg. I hate to keep harping on the points, but you know, it's not bonus points because it's your home port. So just, you know, one step at a time for sure.
Well, thank you so much, Charlie. Congratulations on a podium finish, and best of luck, of course, in the next leg to your home port. We'll see you at the dock.
Thanks, Jenny. Thanks, Mark. Bye.
We're going to try to see if we can get on board Brunel just for a quick look. Of course, 4th place that close, I think it'll be a little bit disappointing, at least their demeanor. We don't have anyone with a headset, but you can see Stefan, the OBR, doing his job, getting that interview, a quick grab afterwards as to how they're feeling.
So these OBRs on all the boats, the onboard reporters do just the most amazing job, and I feel very connected to all of them because we as watch producers speak to them every single day of the leg, day and night. And you know, it really is an incredible versatile skills that they all need. And at the moment he's filming for the documentary and a show that goes out in Holland, as well as hooking up a LiveX for us as soon as we can. So incredibly hard-working OBRs, and of course they have to live all of the moments through the grueling leg in a very different way. They have to manage the media and make sure that they don't bust all their kit, just as the same as the sailors are working out how not to bust the sails.
Getting some great images of the dockside there as well. Dhabi Ocean Racing all off the boat, taking the sails off the boat now. That's a huge task.
The shore crew immediately get on the boat and immediately start taking sails off and cleaning the boat out. And literally, you know, the skipper will hand over the keys to the shore crew. Your baby, and it's time. Every minute counts of this stopover to refresh themselves ready for another very intense leg, leg 6 into Newport.
It looks like a beautiful time there, and it seems to be getting a little bit darker. The sun that was out earlier, not quite shining.
Sun's starting to go down.
You can see MAPFRE just getting in towards the dock. Sort of the second best moment of a race finish. The first one across the line, the second one getting to the dock and seeing your loved ones, friends and family. And then very closely behind them, Brunel and Alvimedica.
So here come all the spectator boats coming in.
I think that's even the pilot boat that we were speaking with Knut on earlier.
There's
Red
Knut
pilot boat.
Yeah, in the white shirt.
Knut at the front. MAPFRE flying the Brazilian flag back there. And the Spanish flag, of course. I'm not quite sure what the yellow and blue or the red and white ones are. State flags, maybe.
Just listen to those crowds. They know that there's a Brazilian sailor on there. And Brazil, a great history within the Volvo Ocean Race and Whitbread. Torben Grail, one of the
And in fact, Jaco
Brazilian
Signori,
skippers.
he's the Brazilian sailor who's now a coach of Team SCA. So still involved. Alvimedica in third there. Brunel in front of them, but of course finished behind them. We could take a look here at the provisional standings for this leg 5. We'll get to the provisional standings soon, I think.
So they're just coming in, they're going to clear customs and again hand over the keys to the shore crew. That looks a fantastic race village, nice and compact, and plenty of room for the crowds to enjoy the homecoming.
Plenty of crowds to fill out the village.
Yeah. And of course we've got an import and a leg start to look forward to. Leg start on the 19th.
The boats, of course, have to take their mainsails down. That was a little bit longer for MAPFRE, taking their main down, then going in. Brunel and Alvi have yet to do that, so they'll do that here in the channel soon. But looks like MAPFRE getting close to the dock here. You can see, as you said earlier, a sea of yellow. Now it's a sea of red. And Nettie, the bowman on the bow. The guy who has his own sort of cheering squad here in Spain.
Yeah, he's got his own fan club.
Final moments of work here, tying the boat up. Oh, Andre Fonseca with his own Brazilian flag as well.
Look at that smile on Andre's face.
Now, he's a watch captain. He looks quite young, but he's done 3 Volvos. He's a watch captain on board and a very experienced driver. They often have him drive the import racing, as well as even the leg starts. And the dock lines are thrown.
Here she comes.
And that's young Willie Altadale at the back of the boat. His father was racing the Barcelona World Race, just finished the day that Willie rounded Cape Horn. So it was a pretty amazing family moment for the two of them as well.
And Guillermo was on the boat that I raced in the Volvo, so I know his father very well. And I remember Willie as a very, very young lad. Never really thought, I'm sure it wouldn't be difficult.
Dhabi Ocean
Yeah,
Racing.
exactly. Wouldn't it be difficult to know that he was going to sail the Volvo one day? It's the mascot, the albatross, and here this is the moment. And Francisco's still filming, still hard working on his job, getting the moment. Never cease to get a lump in my throat when I watch these homecomings. There's Rob Greenhalgh.
This is a bit more like it actually. Normally the sailors stay on the boat for a while. That's why I was so surprised with Ian jumping off. He usually does all the interviews from there on the boat, but as you said, he hadn't seen his daughters or his family since 2 nights ago.
A pretty tidy boat they've left for the shore crew. Nice flake on the main. A sea of red.
And you can see up there the sea of yellow in the middle of the village. The Abu Dhabi team making their way through.
And it's great. It's the first opportunity for the teams to go and congratulate the others as well. You often see the skippers come over and congratulate the other skippers.
Just after the interview, dock interviews and then the skippers. Sounds like we'll have those dock interviews soon. Get the crowd excited.
Você que está na sua terceira Volvo Ocean Race, qual é a emoção especial dessa etapa e de estar aqui novamente?
Chegar aqui foi sonho. Agradecer ao Iker por essa oportunidade e estou muito feliz de encontrar tantos amigos, tanta família e essa comunidade inteira aqui. Muito obrigado a presença de todos e vamos comemorar.
É isso aí, André Bochecha Fonseca. Senhoras e senhores, um grande aplauso para ele.
So Andre, you are one of the most experienced helmsmen in this race, but the Southern Ocean, you've done this before, but that was some race out there with everything being so close, with all of the boats. How was it in the Southern Ocean?
It was very, very tired. In 24 hours, we made 25 jives, so it was so close, the boats, the race is so tough, and congratulations for the Volvo to make the one design boats, because it's amazing to sail 7,000 miles and arrive here less than 10 miles between the first boat and the fourth boat. This is incredible, and I'm looking forward for next leg.
Can you say that again in Portuguese?
Foi uma etapa muito dura, incrível a gente navegar 7.000 milhas tão perto um barco do outro, e depois muitas manobras. Em 24 horas fizemos mais de 25 jibes, isso é muito cansativo, um barco sempre perto do outro, sempre um tentando puxar mais que o outro, e depois de todo esse cansaço, cruzar o Cabo Horn e chegar aqui em Itajaí, em Santa Catarina, é uma honra muito enorme, estou muito feliz e aproveito para agradecer Iker e meus companheiros por esse grande resultado.
Congratulations and welcome home. I'm just going to move straight on to Iker. Of course, Iker Martinez, the skipper of MAPFRE. Iker, congratulations. Second place on leg 5 of the Volvo Ocean Race. My goodness, but that was not an easy leg for anybody in this race. That Chinese jibe that you guys did, you haven't seen the footage, you experienced it, but it's gone crazy on social media. The footage from that was really, really scary. Have you experienced a jibe like that before? And how did the crew how did you feel the crew coped with it?
Yes, for sure. That happened to us before, many times, too many times. But what was I think the process of learning about the boat. We didn't know exactly how to sail the boat, where the limits were, and that was the first time we were facing strong winds as a team with the boat. So that was the process. Then we realized, okay, we have to do this like that, and this not working like that, and then the whole thing was going better and better. And I can imagine that all of us will have the same kind of situations, and for all of us was probably the first time in this race having such strong conditions.
I'm just going to let Murillo translate that.
É isso aí, senhoras e senhores. Iker Martinez, comandante do MAPFRE. Nossa amiga Joe perguntou para ele como foi essa perna. Ele disse que foi muito, muito difícil, mas que esses barcos One Design, os barcos são muito parecidos, então eles tiveram que puxar muito, dormiram pouco.
Great to hear from Iker and how excited he was, and also to hear personally from the sailors how intense the conditions were, and that it was the hardest night that they've had in the race so far.
And those conditions came through, and you could see that so many boats all had the same problems. In that 48-hour period, they must have been so tired after those jibes, and then they were talking about 50 knots of breeze coming through. It's hardly surprising.
And the sea state. I mean, sometimes if it was flat water, yes, but they basically were getting this really warm current coming down. So they loved that it was warm, that it felt like a bathtub. But they hated that it was just slamming, that things were going all over the boat, that essentially sleeping bags, by the time you'd gotten out of the bunk, the sleeping bag had already dropped to the leeward side, everything was wet. Really, really intense, an unfortunate time. The other two boats still with their mainsails up, motoring probably at this point in time, but still with their mainsails up. How long does this process usually take for a race team?
Well, they've got to come in and the guys behind me here in race control are doing an amazing job of communicating with the teams now. They've got to break some seals. A lot of the things like the prop has been sealed by a tag with a number which we've seen photographic evidence of. They now break them. Race control jump on board and make sure that those same tags are still in place. And then they break them, and then they start the engines, and they start getting the boat away. So there's a lot of things to go, as well as just the normal customs process that everybody goes through when we go to another country.
Yeah, you sort of forget that they're actually sailing into a new country,
Yeah.
passports in hand.
Yep.
The Dongfang team had a little bit of a hard time with that actually earlier when they broke their mast when ashore. They had to then deal with customs for a couple of hours. But of course, there's still another team racing. This was a very tight finish, but on the water, still racing, yet to deal with those problems. Team SCA, we mentioned earlier and alluded to the fact that they'd had some damage to their rudder, but we were able to actually catch up with skipper Sam Davies for a live X. But this is on board Team SCA. Sam, thanks for joining us. We hear that you had another unfortunate incident a couple hours ago. Can you talk us through exactly what happened?
Yeah, we were just sailing downwind with our A3 up. We had 20 knots of wind. Just done our final heading to Itajaí, and we'd actually 15 minutes earlier had checking where we had some broken back car. So we got her down and then basically sending it, doing 22 knots, and there was a big bang, the boat stopped. And we did a huge wipeout because we lost our port rudder. And big wipeout, wipes all the way through into a tack. So I'm not sure if you call it a Chinese tack. So we laid the boat flat on starboard and then laid the boat flat on port. With the port rudder had been knocked out of its quadrant, knocked out pretty much out of the top bearing, and it was on back to front by the time we actually got to see it. So we hit something pretty hard with the port rudder, and it took a big toll. But luckily we didn't lose the rudder, and we didn't damage the hull. So we've still got the bearings in, and we didn't fill the boat up with water basically. So that's the good side of it. And also in our wipeout, we didn't break a sail because that's our other concern. So we managed to get the A3 felled and down. So I think we might have broken one batten on in the mainsail, but that's quite a low damage toll for the wipeout that we did. And so then we did try to get the bearings out, the rudder out, because they're pretty damaged. I'm about to get drenched. But the bearings were so badly damaged that we couldn't actually get the rudder out. So the final decision was just to sort of wang it back in there and hope that we had enough steerage and it doesn't get worse from here to Itajaí. And well, as you can see, we're going pretty well. So we.
That was SCA, and they're about 600 miles from the finish now, so we're expecting their ETA still Tuesday morning about 6 a.m. And then the other team, of course, no longer racing after their broken mast, Dongfang race team. They're just under 1,400 miles to the finish, so at a motoring semi-sailing with a cruiser mainsail that they've bought, not sure. It'll take them a couple of days, probably 4 or 5 more days till they get to the dock in Itajaí, but quite a tough journey for them to break the mast, to go into Ushuaia, to deal with trying to replace the spreader so they could at least go out with this cruiser main, as they said, and then of course start their way back up to Itajaí.
They've actually refabricated a completely new metal spreader, and borrowed another. And this is the situation.
Moment as they broke their mast. You could just see it.
Loud bang.
Crashing there in a loud bang.
And the call of all hands on deck.
They actually weren't sure what happened originally, because we've had a couple of different bangs on the front of the boat. Sometimes the front of the jib had broken previously, also jib halyards, but this time soon they'd figured out the top of their mast, just above the third spreader, but you can hear Charles here.
La situation est la suivante, le mât est pété au-dessus du 6e étage de barre de flèche, la tête de mât est pendante avec la grand voile accrochée dessus et le frac. Donc on est un peu emmerdé parce qu'on n'arrive pas à descendre ce tube et puis...
This is as they were motoring into Ushuaia.
Yeah, they came up they first.
they got into the Beagle Channel, it's called.
That's right.
And essentially, Charles was just saying that it was too tough for them to even get a jury rig back out, that it wouldn't be possible, that they would try to make it. But originally, they weren't sure if they were actually just suspending racing or if they were retiring from the leg. It took them a while to make that decision, but I think probably the right decision. He said, we have to give up on this leg, but we cannot give up on the next one. It's not worth missing the start of the next leg. So here they are, just less than 1,400 miles, about 1,382 miles from the finish in Itajaí, and they're hoping, fingers crossed, they'll get their new mast, they'll get it rigged, and they will get ready in time for the import race on the 18th. That's the big goal. This is what it looks like, of course, in Itajaí. And we'll see the 3rd and 4th place teams dock, and of course, here are the interviews there with them. Closer to evening time now. You can still see that sea of yellow of the Dhabi Ocean Racing team, sailors and shore crew. It's definitely more than 9 people there.
Yeah, obviously we're just waiting to come through to see the next docking of Alvimedica. But just talking about SCA and Dongfeng coming back up. Obviously Dongfeng had to make that decision of whether to try to rejoin and hold that point. But they would have had to go back out the wrong side of the Beagle Channel, and they worked out at the time it's more important to get up to Itajaí and get ready and the new rig in for the next leg.
It's a big loss to have to take that 2-point difference between finishing this leg on a jury rig, which would have been 6 points, or retiring from the leg, which is 8. But I think he did the correct, they all together made the correct decision there to make it back in time for the next.
And Charles had the experience of breaking the rig on Group Armour in the last reg in the last edition of the race in the same leg, and so he knows how you can rig a jury rig and still finish a race. You can see the 2 boats. It's going to be quite a while before they get onto the dock. There, 2 boats just bringing their mains down now, and definitely sun is setting in Itajaí.
I think it was, we said, the biggest bummer for Dongfeng Race team. Not the biggest, obviously. The biggest is not finishing this race, this leg, but a big bummer for them was not making it around Cape Horn. The other teams making it around. It was a beautiful day, and it was daytime. So we were able to get some amazing, incredible images, both from the heli and from onshore. And Ian Walker said it was the closest he'd ever been rounding Cape Horn. I think Will Oxley said it was the closest he'd ever been in daytime. So they were quite happy to actually be able to see the mountains behind and just look at how beautiful it was. I mean, the conditions were really still Southern Ocean, huge rolling waves, lots of breeze, very wet, very cold.
Now these are images from the helicopter, of course, and it's very easy to think that they've just turned it on for an import or something, and this is what we're seeing as a glimpse. But these guys do it 24/7, day in, day out, week in, week out, as they cross the Southern Ocean.
And the cigar is part of the Cape Horn celebration. A lot of sailors pull out the cigars and maybe have a swig of rum, not a swig, a tiny bit of rum as they round. It's like the Mount Everest of sailing round in Cape Horn.
Absolutely, it's really one of those pinnacle points that every sailor wants to come through. Look at that sail configuration, 4 sails up, absolutely blasting down those big waves. And 2 boats so close together as they come around the horn.
Unbelievable. I mean, they've said repeatedly on all of the teams that this was the hardest leg they'd ever raced because you're in the Southern Ocean conditions and you're doing it inside of other teams. So the pressure is just that added bit of pressure.
Really pushing the boats hard here, and some of these video images that we're seeing, there are some incredible stills that we also got from this helicopter sortie to see all 4 boats round the Cape Horn in daylight, and it was really part of an incredible live show that we put together here. I think an absolute first for
broadcast, and of course
for broadcast TV to get those 4 boats coming round.
It basically wasn't just another day at the office. That Cape Horn
that was
celebration
a pretty exciting
was not.
day.
No, it was a special day at the office, and each of the teams celebrated it in their own special ways. This is looking back on some footage of previous icebergs and previous legs.
Of course, the Volvo Ocean Race did a fantastic job of keeping the teams above any threat of the ice. They were getting live pictures, live satellite pictures of icebergs, and I think we moved the ice limit several times.
Yeah, maybe 5 times.
As we got more information.
So these are from Volvo Ocean Races in the past.
Just look how close this is. I mean, this is daylight. Just imagine approaching that at night time.
Well, or the speeds that the boats are doing now, there's no way that they can really avoid that easily. The Volvo Ocean Race 65 is now doing, I think we saw max speeds of upwards of 30 knots this leg. 25 was the sustained 15-minute average of Abu Dhabi. And of course, 550 nautical miles on their way into Cape Horn there. The village just teeming with life in Itajaí. We'll go down to the dock, back to Joe Picard, to get a feel for what it's like down there.
Hey Jenny, and welcome back onto the dock. And I'm telling you, Jenny, in Itajaí, the atmosphere here is absolutely incredible. We've got Matt in the helicopter flying above. We've got the music playing, but most of all, we have got hundreds and thousands of fans down here on the dock to support our Volvo Ocean Race teams. They are lining the dock. And when MAPFRE came in, of course, Andre Fonseca, the local guy from Santa Catalina, they were absolutely crazy, really, really wild. These guys are the best, one of the best audiences that we've had yet so far on the Volvo Ocean Race. It really is an honor to be here in Brazil.
Well, thank you so much, Joe, and it is incredible also to be able to see Maris Enright just behind her. We know Charlie Enright's wife and recently announced pregnant wife, so we'll have the first Volvo baby of the race cruise at least. Pretty exciting as well. You can't quite see, hiding it with the sweatshirt, but if Joe's able to speak with her, maybe can you turn around and see if you could speak with Maris?
Do you know what, Jenny? I actually am able to possibly speak to Maris very, very quickly. Alvimedica are actually dropping their mainsail. It's taken a little bit of time to drop the mainsail. 19 days at sea in the Southern Ocean does that for a sail. It's taken a little bit of time, but hopefully we can chat to Maris. Is that okay? So Maris, it's been a pretty epic leg, but third position. I mean, you must be incredibly proud.
I mean, even if they hadn't finished third, I would have been incredibly proud. Just to see them get here is amazing, and to watch them round the horn in first, I mean, had to be a highlight of their career so far. And I know for Charlie and Mark, especially doing it the first time, it's pretty incredible. And so, yes, I mean, the only thing I could really say right now is that I'm so proud of them, and I know that they must be a little disappointed to be in third, because that's just who they are. But I also know that, you know, to be on the podium amongst this group of competitors is pretty amazing.
So Charlie said in one of his interviews on the boat, he said that he spent a third of his life working on this campaign, his dream, him and Mark's dream. You've been a part of that. I mean, how has it been to sit on the dock, well, sit at home, watching all of the footage come off in quite dangerous situations?
I mean, I have to say it's pretty inspiring to see where they've come from and what they've made of the opportunities they've been given. And I think Charlie and Mark would be the first person to tell you that they got there because they were given some great opportunities, but they've also created some for themselves as well. So, yep, it could be a little unnerving watching some of the footage as they rounded the horn, but at the same time, you know, that's where they want to be, and if they were sitting behind a desk, they wouldn't be half as happy. So, got to give it to them.
You have got to give it to them, and let's hope that Dave Sweet has managed to peel off his trousers, because that was disgusting footage. Absolutely disgraceful behaviour. We're looking forward to welcoming them down on the dock. I'm going to pass back over to you, Jenny. Thank you very much, Maris.
Oh, thanks so much, Joe and Maris. And incredible to hear the support that she has for them. As she said, opportunities have been given to them, but also they've made their own. And I think that's a perfect way of summing up that team.
Absolutely, and you forget that the sailors are racing every moment of the leg, but of course the loved ones are probably racing every moment as well.
Biting their nails as well, watching the tracker all of the time, virtual eye. Here's Alvimedica just at the tail end of getting their mainsail down.
With not such a perfect flake, but
that'll come later.
That just needs to come down.
That's Nick Dana up on the mast.
Now, other teams have had to drop their mains, but I don't think that Alvimedica has had to drop their main the entire time.
Yeah.
So the last time that main was down that low was at the start of leg 5, yeah.
Which is maybe why it's taking a bit longer just to get each
those cars going.
Slider off. But let's take a look back. They were the first team around Cape Horn, the iconic monument of sailing, and all of the teams celebrated in their own special ways.
I've noticed a very upbeat mood on everybody since we've seen land, since we got the latest sked, which looks like we've had a good one. And we got just champagne sailing conditions here coming into the Horn.
It's great. Oh man. How many years we've been working on getting here? Well, I mean, a third of my life, and I'm old balls now, 30. So it's been a long time. Long time coming. Can't think of a better group to do it with. Can't think of a better way to get here. So, pretty special day.
Yeah. It's a pretty indescribable feeling, really. We've been working really hard. It's obviously the realization of a multi-year dream for us, and to be here and leading the race at this point, it's surreal. This is a life moment, one of those things you won't ever forget. So, just trying to soak it all in, really.
Never knew whether I'd get to see it. Last time I came around I was 45 miles offshore and it was the middle of the night. So as you can see, big smiles. Racing is awesome. Got Alvimedica just here. We're breathing into the back of them, probably about 3 miles behind. Got a big rain squall here. Car coach driving, 25 knots. Great. Very exciting.
How many times cable for you?
9.
And you still enjoy it?
Yeah, I love it.
There she is. Fantastic day, Cape Horn. Speechless. 3 times. It's for me a beautiful moment in my sailing career. Thank you, Mom, Dad, and my wife and my kids for making it all possible. Because this is an experience, it's second to none. I've been driving before the Horn, coming into it, massive waves, and just couldn't stop jumping up and down. So the words, it's been emotional, fits the spot, I reckon. Now, we have 1700 miles to win this leg. Let's get back to business.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a journey to get here, but you know it's good to be here. We've got Brunel right there, Cape Horn right behind us. So you know, still another week to go, but so far so good.
God, just such beautiful images and such an amazing, iconic moment for this race. I mean, round in Cape Horn, it is huge.
I mean, and listening to Johnny there, it's quite emotional from Team Brunel. just saying, you know, how many times he'd tried to, you know, he'd started the Volvo Ocean race and not made it round that leg, you know, not made it round the horn.
A bit like Pascal Benigori.
Yeah, and this was just so important for him. He's talked about it before the race even started in Alicante, that was his, you know, one of his major goals from this race, to get round.
Goal, round Cape Horn.
Yeah.
We're waiting for the MAPFRE prize giving here, but that was also, Charlie had said, you know, the thing that I dream about at night is rounding Cape Horn, the thing I've been dreaming about. And I think really impressive, especially for them to be leading. I mean, it was not in his dreams to be leading the fleet rounding Cape Horn. It was just to be able to do it.
And of course, at that moment, and like Ian Walker said, they're not allowed to know what's going on, the trials and tribulations. They live in a blind scenario where we give them information for their boats and their boats alone. So they have no idea what's been going on the other boats. They didn't know that the other boats had done some Chinese jibes, and you know, Alvimedica just took each day as it came.
And you can sort of maybe tell if there's a bad sked, as in one boat drops 50 miles or
you can see positions every
Yes.
6 hours, positions, speeds, gains and losses, latitude and longitude.
But the speeds are only that exact snapshot, that 1 second. You get the position report, you get exactly then that boat's speed and their heading at that point in time. So as you've said, they don't really know prior to that what they're having.
And so often when they hit the dock, they actually discover so many things that they had absolutely no idea. You know, sometimes they have a guess. If one boat drops back suddenly, they realise that they haven't had an issue, but they have no idea what
And
it's
if they've
been.
dropped back and switched directions as well, you might just think it was they tried to go one way and made a bit of a mistake. Here's MAPFRE being led from their boat up to the prize giving stage. A great moment for them.
Nice to see the Sea Scouts taking the lead.
And you wonder how they choose why it was that girl who got to be the one who holds their flag. Something I'm sure they're all
I'm
fighting
sure a lot
for.
of these children are from local sailing clubs, local youth groups. This will be a real inspirational thing for them to have done.
There's Guillermo Altadillo at the front. He hasn't been on the race the whole time. He just joined last leg and then stayed on this leg. So clearly he proved his worth.
And you see they're all drinking sort of sweet cola drinks, you know,
Yeah.
it's just...
Anything but water at this
yeah,
point. You get off a boat for 19 days.
They've only
anything
had
but
water and protein powder and plenty of coffee.
And I think the other half of it is just cold drinks. That's the nice
Yeah.
bit as well.
Yeah. Going past the Volvo Ocean Race stand.
Javi Fernandez on the left there, he was the replacement skipper when Iker was out for 2 legs. Lifetime sailing partner of Iker as well, so also has a gold and silver medal in the 49er, and then has done 2 Barcelona World Races with them.
And for your senses, this is such an amazing feeling, because you've just had just these few people around you, you know, with familiar voices and the noises of the boat, and then suddenly to hear like loud music
Huge
in crowds. I remember coming into India, that was an amazing experience. Your senses are just on overload. You're smelling different things that you haven't smelt before. You walk past you go past a hamburger store or something, and there's just those different smells. Just look, they almost look shell-shocked, just taking it all in. I have a feeling that they're going to enjoy themselves tonight. Getting into the carnival feeling. Bit of samba.
Amazing bit of samba as well. Very much the trademark music of Brazil. Andre at least would know how to dance the samba.
It's pretty crazy times for everyone. Cameramen, look, we're trying to get the camera around the backstage. He needs to
Bring
get a
him
good
in.
spot. All the cameramen down the front being guided in. It's great. We're getting this absolute up close view.
Okay, as you can see, making their way to the stage, we of course have got MAPFRE, please. Can you welcome to the stage, in second place in leg 5 of the 12th edition of the Volvo Ocean Race, it is MAPFRE! From Spain, the skipper, Iker Martinez. From Spain, Xavi Fernandez. From France, Jean-Luc Nelias. From the UK, Graf Greenhouse. From Brazil, Andre Fonseca. From Spain, Willie Altidil. From Spain, Carlos Hernandez. From Spain, Antonio Carres Mons. And from Argentina, Francisco Vignale.
Senhoras e senhores, o Team MAPFRE, segundo colocado na quinta etapa da Volvo Ocean Racing. Eu queria convidar aqui ao palco o nosso capitão de mar e guerra, Luiz Felipe Freire, capitão dos portos do estado de Santa Catarina. Que responsa, hein, capitão? Mas está aqui o Bochecha, catarinense. O capitão está aqui, Bochecha. Ele que é sargento da Marinha. Bate continência, Bochecha. O cara é superior, Bochecha. Senhoras e senhores, MAPFRE, vice-campeão da quinta etapa, eles que ganharam a quarta etapa lá em Auckland. Os caras estão demais, o barquinho vermelho.
Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for MAPFRE!
Um grande aplauso para o MAPFRE! ¡Viva España! ¡Vale!
Congratulations, MAPFRE! Congratulations to MAPFRE! Well done! Second place in the Volvo Ocean Race. Guys, get together. One last photograph, please. Maria, please. One last photograph.
Vai rolar uma foto. Foi isso aí, senhoras e senhores. O MAPFRE, vice-campeão aqui da quinta etapa.
Great celebrations there. Podium finishers. Of course, the swig of champagne, always nice right at the end.
Yeah.
Getting sprayed, not as nice, but the swig is nice.
I could see they were getting used to podium positions because as soon as Joe said it's time to get a photograph, they just went bang, in formation.
Ready. There it is.
They knew exactly how to do.
Like we said, beginning of the comeback.
Yeah.
So this was the podium for the sailors. We checked in earlier with the virtual regatta leg 5 winner, Jens. Jens, thank you so much for joining us and congratulations on winning leg 5 of the virtual game. What were your strategies this leg that actually brought you the leg win?
The leg win was actually because I went so much south, almost to the South Pole. And I took a big curve to the east to avoid the light winds close to shore.
And you said actually to me just a bit ago that you're always playing the wild card sort of on these legs. Is that your strategy? Is that more fun for you?
Yeah, we have 9 legs in total, and only 6 has to count. So you're allowed to take some chances and get some bad results among the good results. So yes, I take chances.
Well, huge congratulations on winning this leg, and it basically means now you've won the trip to Newport. Are you excited? Are you going to be able to go, and are you excited to be able to make that stopover?
Yes, I'm very excited to go there. I'm really looking forward to, see the boats for real and maybe talk to some of the crew and of course see them head out for the Atlantic. I'm really looking forward to that, yes.
Well, being Danish, I would assume that your allegiance was probably to Team Vestaswen, but now that they've been sidelined, do you have a second favorite team?
Well, I think Abu Dhabi is my favorite now, but yes, Vestas was my big favorite at that time, yes.
Okay, and I guess we'll try to actually put you in touch with Abu Dhabi then. That'd be awesome in Newport. That's an easy thing for us to be able to do. Second question then, well, not second question, getting close to the final question. How hard is it to actually do the race on you mentally? I mean, I know I've heard stories of guys in the past waking up multiple times at night to make sure they're still on the right track. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, yeah. Like the real boats, we have to get up in the night and check the weather forecasts, and especially closing to finish. And I was about to win. I didn't sleep that much, but well, sometimes it's easy, and sometimes you have to get up a lot of times during the night. So yeah, it varies.
So dedication, though, much like the sailors.
Well, a little difference in in the conditions, but I really have a big respect for the crews that endures those hard conditions in the roaring 40s. It's amazing.
It is incredible. Well,
Yeah.
we're really looking forward to setting you up to meet the guys in Newport, and huge congratulations for winning this leg. Excellent meeting you, Jens, and thank you so much for joining us today.
No problem. Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
Very cool virtual game winner, getting to go, of course, to Newport, the stopover and the home of Charlie Enright. Alvimedica we're waiting to see at the dock arrival, but
And it's still, you know, you can still enter the race and race a leg on the virtual race. So even though you may not have had a boat up to now, you should sign up and
win the next leg
win the
and
next
get a
leg, yeah.
chance to go to the next
And
stopover.
when he said that he was looking forward to going to Newport to speak to the sailors, I think what he meant was speak to the navigators.
Well, it sounds like he's a sailor himself. In fact, right before we started recording, he said he had won a European championship. So
Yeah, when he was
that
younger,
helps.
yeah. I was reading about it earlier. And you can see the sun definitely setting, the lights coming up now, getting late in the day. Here comes Alvimedica slowly up to the dock.
Sail nicely flaked now.
Yeah, just going back to that virtual game, I remember teams doubling up, having those companies with people with like an East Coast office and a West Coast office and an office back in London. You sort of
I sub in with friends every now and then.
Sub
If
in.
they're in Australia,
Keep the
I'll
boat-
do a day watch. Yeah.
keep the boat moving.
Orange boat approaching. I think it's yellow marks in front of them though. Sea of orange. Really good vibe down there in the village. Really exciting to finish a leg and have that sort of vibe, that sort of reception. Of course helps when it's daytime.
Sometimes they get in the wee small hours, and only the hardy fans are still there, like we saw in New Zealand.
Well, and Auckland was difficult as well for the leg start because it was postponed the 3 days because of Cyclone Pam. So it ended up being, instead of an afternoon finish on a weekend, it was a morning finish on a Tuesday.
It all just seems, even though it's not actually that long ago, it seems so distant, the amount of miles and the amount of things that they've been through. And of course, Alvimedica was right in the thick of it, together with MAPFRE. And for all those that haven't seen it, there's a great cross. I think it's under the title Crazy Cross. Go back and have a look at it on the Facebook and our channels.
Basically closing speeds of 50 knots because they're both doing 25, and Alvy's sitting there thinking, calling themselves across on port tack, which is maybe what they're hoping for is to cross, but it wasn't quite that interesting. I think maybe we even have the video to show you now. Working on it. Here it is.
We're doing 25 knots, they're doing 25 knots. That's a closing speed of 50 knots, Everything happens really fast, The consequences for disaster are quite high. So, I think we're lucky to just kind of get out of that one, and the other ones like it, throughout the course of the day.
I love Mark Tull's humor there at the end. He's probably just absolutely terrified as well until they got across.
And this wasn't far from Point Nemo, which is the furthest point from any part of land.
Most isolated point in the ocean, I
exactly.
think, essentially.
And to be duking it out with so many boats around you, doing crosses like that, it really is insane. The closeness of this racing.
The one design element has proven its worth.
It adds such a level of intensity for the sailors. before you could make, you made your bed, you lied in it, you would head off to a corner and hope that your strategy for your particular boat would work out, your mode for your sweet spot, and it would either work out or not. But the intensity just really wasn't as, all the boats. The only thing that's going to change was how hard you push the boat.
But it's not only other sailing teams that they're seeing, they're also playing with wildlife. We had an amazing footage and shot on board Dongfang of a flying fish.
A big one as well.
A huge one. The guys tell us, you'll see in a second actually, quite how big it is, but
Seriously? That big. It's not that big, but...
It was a big forearm.
I think Kevin had it in his hand. I've never seen a flying fish that big. They tried to take out Pascal, but he managed to avoid it. It was a massive flying fish.
And here we are, Alvimedica getting to the dock.
Flying warps.
Flying ropes. Dave Sweet's catch was better than Will Oxley's, that's for sure. Maybe just a couple years younger. Just a touch of technical difficulties between us and Brazil. A long way for our internet and cell phone connections to be working. Will Oxley and Navigator tying on the first line here, the spring line we're seeing. And then Alvible's on the Italian on board just behind him. And then Dave Sweet's daughter. I think they've been to every stopover so far.
It's all a bit
moment
much.
of crying when you see him instead of being happy. It's overwhelming. She probably just wants to give him a hug too. Daddy, come. Dave, Joe was talking about earlier, the molting. Dave, he basically wore his same entire pair of tights from the start until I think today he took them off. The insides were quite disgusting with the layer of skin attached. Aww. There we go. That's a happy moment.
Come on, Dave, stop sailing. Give your daughter a hug.
Play with her. Nick Dana now on the back of the boat. He's the bowman, usually at the pointy end, as we said, pointy end at the front
boat
or
captain.
up the mast.
Nick's job to keep the whole thing together. Will Oxley, the navigator, he must be very happy with the job he's done.
Yeah, very good leg. And it looks like we've got Charlie lined up on the back of the boat. Meeting Maris. Mark Towell just got the lei from his parents, the Hawaiian tradition.
Surprise. Didn't know they were going to be there.
Both parents too, that's really nice. Those two guys, longtime friends since Morning Light, the Disney film and Disney sailing team that taught them and myself about offshore racing, but they also then went to college together at Brown. Charlie graduating as Mark was coming in, and they've essentially been talking about doing the Volvo Ocean Race since that time, which was 2006.
That's crazy. So they would
quite
have
a while ago.
been, they would have been walking down the road, college, just chatting about one day, should we do the Volvo Ocean Race?
Yeah.
I'm sure there's lots of other dreams out there.
Let's see if we can listen in here to
Down
Charlie.
onto the dock, and of course the Team Alvimedica skipper Charlie Enright. Charlie, first of all, welcome to Brazil. Have you ever, in your Volvo Ocean Race history, seen a crowd like this?
In all four legs? No, definitely not. This is pretty amazing. It's a great turnout. It speaks a lot to the city and the passion they have for this race, so very exciting stuff.
Senhoras e senhores, esse é Charles Enright, o comandante do Team Alvimedica. Joe perguntou para ele se ele já tinha visto a galera assim tão grande em alguma das pernas. Ele falou que definitivamente não, que foi uma grande surpresa chegar aqui em Itajaí e ser recebido com tanto carinho por todos vocês.
So congratulations on third, Charlie. You know, you said online on one of the things that Amo did, one of the videos, you spent a third of your life working on this campaign. You rounded Cape Horn first. That must have been the icing on the cake, right?
Yeah, you know, it was a special moment for sure for our team. You know, the closeness of the racing didn't allow for us to enjoy it for very long. But, you know, it's something that we'll look back on, and, you know, no one can take that away from us. And it was a great time and some good memories with a good group. And, yeah, you know, a lot of the race still to go, so the focus is forward. But, yeah, obviously very satisfied with this leg, and particularly how we rounded the horn.
É isso aí, Joe perguntou para ele o que ele achou dessa perna. Eles que são novatos na regata, ele disse que foi uma perna muito difícil, mas uma perna muito boa, que ele vai guardar isso na memória. Eles que lideraram a perna durante muito tempo, tiveram esse verdadeiro match race aí no final com o Brunel, e que o time do Alvimedica ainda tem muita regata pela frente, mas que eles estão muito satisfeitos até agora com os resultados do barco.
Okay, Charlie, last question, because I know the media want to grab hold of you, but every other team on this leg has reported serious damages to their boat. Of course, Dongfeng sadly have had to pull out of this leg. But you guys seem to have gotten away very lightly. No Chinese jibes, no serious damage. Is that the truth?
Yeah, you know, you sail a leg like that, the boat, you know, has some gremlins here and there, but nothing major. You know, it's a testament to the guys that work hard on the shore, and, you know, in particular Nick Dana, you know, our boat captain on board. You know, he did a great job. He can fix anything, and little bits here and there, but nothing major. I don't want to say we sail conservative, but, you know, we seem to have found, you know, for now where the limits are, and no, happy with how we sail for sure.
Well, congratulations, and we'll see you up on the arrival stage. Well done, Team Alvimedica!
É isso aí, senhoras e senhores. Team Alvimedica, a última pergunta da Joe foi sobre o Dongfeng.
You're still live.
Tell us about this reception.
It's amazing. There's so many people here and they're so into it. I've heard a lot about this place, and also my parents are here from all yet really lies which is great. So a little white flavor. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to being a long wine for my days and enjoying Brazil. Thank you.
Nice one, this? Yeah, like it. You gonna go again?
Charlie and Dave. Okay. More important, Charlie. So let's go for Charlie.
The veteran that they brought on for this race, leg 5. He's been a coach for them previously, but they figured they needed just that little bit more experience. And then here, Tom Tauber, and behind him, Knut Frosted, CEO.
And Stu really being attributed to, you know, bringing a lot of that Southern Ocean experience that this team was potentially lacking, and you know, he's really been attributed to you know, a lot of this podium finish.
Helping get them along.
Knut Frostad now, CEO of the Volvo Ocean Race, having a chat.
Let's take a look back, though, at some of the incredible footage that onboard reporter Amory Ross was able to deliver to us from this leg on board Alvimedica. just incredible and so wet and cold it looks like at periods of time there.
Well, I'm so proud of the OBRs that bring us that footage. I mean, they have to get up on deck, and like Francisco was saying, you know, the other sailors have got two hands to hold on. You know, these guys are holding a camera with sometimes both hands. So, I mean, just the footage that we're seeing is incredible in this race. It really is.
It's perfect to have them on board as well, because there's only so far a helicopter can go, you know, and to be able to get some of the shots we got earlier from the Cape Horn rounding, the aerial footage of a helicopter, it's amazing, but you can't deliver that when they're thousands of miles off at sea.
No.
And yet earlier in the race, actually, we were able to get some helicopter footage. This is just as the fleet was exiting East Cape into the tail end of Cyclone Pam. After the 3-day delay, they still had essentially big waves and leftover wind from Cyclone Pam. This is what it looked like there. Was actually unreal getting that footage back. It was an amazing. It also made us think that they had made the right call. The 3-day delay was necessary for the cyclone. It was first a 1-day delay and then a 2-day delay, and the cyclone essentially did rip through as it was dying, rip through the north end of New Zealand, and we had to take the race village apart, put it back together again.
Yeah. I mean, it's safe to say those conditions would have been boat-breaking conditions. You know, we design the boats to go around the world and to achieve great things in all sorts of weather, but no one expects these things to go into those kind of conditions with that wave state. So it was a pretty unanimous vote from all of the teams to hold and delay. So and also that it's such a long leg, and no one wants to see a boat out so early on, and we spare a thought for the two boats that are struggling to get back into the race now. Still racing, still getting up to Itajaí.
And actually in the beginning, it was Team Brunel who's just finished fourth, but they were leading for a long period of time as they raced south into the roaring 40s, screaming 50s. We were thinking it was the experience paying off. Here's Brunel getting into the dock.
Crowds.
The yellow and gray boat of Brunel sailing.
Johnny on the bow.
And that sign says third time lucky. I couldn't read the other side. It's in Danish, but yeah, third time lucky. Johnny has essentially finally rounded Cape Horn.
Senhoras e senhores, com seus atletas, da Holanda para o mundo.
And this piece of music is actually called Sail. It's quite apt.
Finally, nighttime now. See in the middle of shot there, Louis Balsian, the youngest guy on board. Stefan still at it, hard at work at his job.
Good lad.
On the bow, Johnny Portman. I don't think he's seen a sign yet.
There he is. Johnny's biggest fan. I'm sure all these kids' first words to their fathers are, "Dad, you don't smell too good."
Those boys don't seem to mind. Oh, that's so exciting to be on board the boat with Daddy.
This must feel all so normal for those children. Seen them on leg finishes.
It is an interesting family life, isn't it? To have their parents go away to sea and then meet them, fly to the ports and meet them, try to get some school in at the same time. It's not easy on the families, but it's kind of a nice life as well. Get to see all these different ports.
It's quite an education.
Trying to get in with Joe now to get an interview with Bauer.
Welcome back to the dock, and I'm joined with the skipper of Team Brunel, Bao Becking. Bao, welcome to Brazil. What a crowd come out to see you, first of all. Let's just talk about how close that was. One of your team just got off the rib, and they told me that right up until the last few minutes, you and Alvimedica battling it out. You really did look as though you guys stood a chance to take third. And with the wrong sail, that is testament to your team.
Yeah, I think first of all, Brazil, thank you for this fantastic welcome. It's always a pleasure when so many people are coming to welcome us after such a tough leg. But yeah, the result sucks, I can tell you easy, but the others were just a little bit better, and we can't blame our sails or anything like that, but all the boat problems as well. But of course, the entire leg was fun, but just the result is no good.
É isso aí, Bowie Becking, comandante do Team Brunel. A Joe perguntou para ele que nós ouvimos aqui de um dos tripulantes de terra que a 10 minutos da chegada ele quase ultrapassou o Team Alvimedica. Ela perguntou como foi a perna e ele disse que antes de tudo queria agradecer a galera de Itajaí, que é sempre um prazer pegar aqui. Ele disse que realmente ele está muito cansado, que a perna toda foi muito dura, mas que também foi muito divertida e que ele não pode colocar a culpa nas velas nem nada. E assim mesmo velejar em One Design, os barcos são muito parecidos.
So Bauer, sorry Tom to interrupt. So Bauer, that's your 9th time around the Horn. Tell me, for all of these people are never ever going to get to see that sight from a sailing boat in the Volvo Ocean Race. There might be one, maybe two of them that go on to do this race. It's your 9th time around it. Can you tell them what it feels like? Is it still have its magic?
Well, it was actually my 8th time. KP was his 9th time, so just a little correction. It doesn't matter. But I think it's just for people, go down there, go to Ushuaia, just take a day trip and see the Horn, because it's magic.
A Joe perguntou para ele como é passar pelo Cabo Horn pela 8ª vez. Ele que montou o Cabo Horn 8 vezes e ele disse que ele não se acostuma com isso, que lá realmente é o lugar mais perigoso dos oceanos e que é um lugar mágico e que ele adora passar por lá e obviamente adora chegar aqui em Itajaí, senhoras e senhores. Bowie back in Team Brunel.
Okay, just one last question, Marilla, before you disappear. I'm here with Johnny, of course, Jan Portman. Johnny has tried. Where's your banner? Where's your banner here? It says, let's hold it up. There we go, you need to read it. Let's have a little look. Turn it around. It says, 3rd time lucky my daddy has finally rounded the Cape Horn. It's taken him three races. How did it feel to eventually have rounded the Cape Horn?
Oh, it was a beautiful day, and KP told me it was the second most beautiful day as well. It was sunny, big waves, it had everything, and it was a beautiful moment. It was a massive achievement.
Congratulations, Johnny, and have some wonderful time with your family, and welcome to Brazil. Ladies and gentlemen, Team Brunel!
It's actually really nice to have had such a moment for all of them in that leg, to actually be able to come in 4th place, a bit disappointed, and yet be able to look back. And for Johnny, he's going to be still essentially buzzing that he was able to do it, able to round Cape Horn. For all of them, such an iconic leg of the race, leg 5 altogether, Southern Ocean, ice limits, massive jibes. It's almost overwhelming.
Well, like Charlie said, there were no points handed out for the first one round the Cape Horn, but certainly bragging rights, and something they'll look back on and just say, I was there first.
I like that he said, I'd love to see retrospective points given for rounding Cape Horn
and
first.
For Johnny to have finally made it round is just, that must be something, monkey off his back for sure.
Yeah,
there's Stefan Koppers, the OBR, just talking to Tom Talbot.
You can't actually tell how tall he is from here because Tom is quite tall, but Stefan, compared to anyone else on that team, towers.
Now, something we kept it clean, family show, but Mr. Koppers did the traditional streak at Cape Horn as well.
All of them with different celebrations, as
yes,
we said.
Exactly.
Stefan doing his own, kept freezing cold in the most cold place
so
in the...
respect for him for taking his kit off at Cape Horn.
But they're always seeming to have fun on board Brunel, even when it is tough.
And you can just see how brutal it is. In those conditions, water, I think, got down to 5 degrees C, so yeah.
And it just gets everywhere in the boat. They basically say it's coming in all the time.
It's actually not the ability not to be able to dry your clothes. There's no locker hanging. It's all, there's very little. There's just wet, and it's wet. They all reported it being very, very wet in the boat as well. Water coming through a lot of the fittings.
Well, it's cold enough as well that it's actually essentially getting wet inside from dew. It's so much warmer in the boat than it is outside.
Yeah,
Here's
because of the warm bodies inside with the cold water on the outside of the skin.
This is Brunel onboard footage, as we were saying, from Stefan.
So the setup, you've got someone on the helm, and then there's always someone holding onto the main trim, and then someone pretty well always hanging onto that pedestal there, ready to grind on when the trim call calls.
Yeah, so most of the team sailing with 3 up, all the time. And when it got really gnarly, they would go into 4-up just to make sure there was a second set of hands to ease the jib if needed, to help on the grinder if needed. They don't do it all the time, but they do it when necessary. And then talk to us as well about the onboard cameras that we have, aside from the roving cameras.
Well, we've got the roving cameras here, but you've got a camera just underneath the hatch, which is going to look back. And you've got a camera on the back pedestal there looking forward, and then you've got 2 cameras on the spreaders looking down, and they can all be remotely manoeuvred and accessed and zoomed. And you can see the 2 domes there on the back of the boat from Inmarsat and Cobham, our race suppliers. And they are responsible for getting this media off the boat. Every day these teams send 2 minutes of footage, a blog and some sort of 6 or 7 images, and that is what we use up on our channels. And of course the fantastic documentary that runs throughout the race, bringing you the story from not only on board but the families as well, and just the conditions and the amount, you know, every 4th wave or something just comes hurtling down the deck. You are constantly wet, and it gets to the crews. It's like they're wet in their bunks, they're wet on deck, they're cold. There's just no let-up.
Wet, cold just gives you a tough time.
Yeah.
And it was a very tight race this leg, but it's also made it into a very tight overall standing. We now have Abu Dhabi about 7 points. They are 7 points ahead, but behind them, very close for second. 16 points with Dongfang Race Team, Team Brunel and MAPFRE tied with just 18, and then only 1 place behind Team Alvimedica with 19 points. SCA coming in, if they finish leg 5 in 5th with 24 points. Team Vestas Wind being sidelined. Hopefully getting back into the race soon though. We've heard in fact that their hull and the deck have been joined recently in Persico Marine, which is a huge step to getting that boat back in the water.
Yeah, they've literally peeled the skin off the internal structure and made a new hull, and they're going to just drop it onto the superstructure of inside. A very, very clever way of rebuilding the boat and putting the integrity back into the carbon hull.
And fingers crossed still, what we're hoping for from them is return to the race in Lisbon as they get to the European stopovers. So that's it for us down on the dock in Itajaí. Team Brunel, the 4th place team for now. But we'd like to take a look back. We were just speaking about Team SCA. They had quite an incredible Cape Horn rounding and a very special moment for them when they dropped a wreath into the water to honor their coach, Magnus Olsen, who is a huge icon for the Volvo Ocean Race, was a huge mentor for their team. And essentially they all said, you know, is now embodying an albatross like many sailors lost at sea.
We've been missioned to drop a lot of messages off for Manga that a lot of people wrote to him during and after his memorial. So we have a wreath and we have all the messages printed out for everybody, and we're going to put this in the water as we pass Cape Horn, so when Magnus the albatross comes flying by, you can find them.
Was a really, really touching moment for the girls, and they did say that they saw an albatross very shortly after dropping the reef in the water, so it meant a lot to all of them, and a really nice fitting end for this live show, essentially for the leg as well, just to think about what a close, tight leg we've had incredible racing, Southern Ocean conditions, huge storm in the South Atlantic, and then looking forward, what can we expect?
Well, that's the last of the long legs, and now the legs start to get more intense, much shorter period of time, and it'll be interesting to see just how the mode of racing will change now that it becomes more intense, even more intense.
And it's not quite done yet. We have Team SCA. They are 600 miles from the finish. We're expecting them in Tuesday about 6 a.m. UTC. We will be live, so join us there. That's it from me, Jenny Tulloch, and Mark Cavell here in the Volvo Ocean Race headquarters.
Much people, so you need to be there, no, you need to be in the balance. So now I have to work hard.